What is up, guys? We are on the Commentator's Curse featuring the Crimson Blur.
How you guys doing? Nice to be back again.
Yes, and you live in a different space than last time you streamed at home.
Really? I guess it's been that long. I usually stream from work.
Yeah. Well, I remember you did the out of focus things at your place, and your place looks nice, a lot more spacious. You have,
My apartment's actually the best apartment of all time. It's so sick. If
well,
you went here, it's like it's a party house.
it's
It's so
almost
good.
as if you paid for the size of two, but you only paid for the price of one.
What do you mean?
Because you have you have MIA roommates and
Yeah,
housemates.
so I used to live alone up here, didn't like it, so I decided to live with my sister. My sister like travels and works so much. She was only in the apartment, I think it was 1 or 2 nights this month. So, it's she's just never here. So I basically just have what's like equivalently of like a two-person place, and I just living alone right now.
And that's crazy in San Francisco because the difference is like probably like $1,500 to $2,000 at least.
It's a little more than that, but yeah.
So anyway, so it's kind of interesting because I don't ever recall having this many California events like this close together. Can you ever recall like us having this many California events? Like even last year and like the year before, we only really had like one big California event a year. I feel like
Big. What do you determine as big?
at least like a
Um,
regional size event.
So you're talking about Blood for Blood, the 2UG thing for Wii U. What else are you talking about?
I mean,
Pat's House?
We had Pat's house, we had Red Bull,
But that was September.
yeah. But in general, like it's very rare for us. Like remember 2016 and 2015 where we really didn't have anything.
I guess so. I guess so.
Yeah,
Not so bad to be in California.
yeah,
Um, Hosting things here is just, you get more attendance and you don't have to fly players out. That's pretty nice.
yeah. At the
Um,
expense of everybody having to pay ridiculous venue fees. So how did the search? Are you guys using the same venue for Blood this weekend?
yeah, it'll be really good. I'm pretty hyped for it. I'm going to keep hosting these until Socal wins. That's basically my rule. And when Socal wins, I'll just stop.
Well,
Hopefully, I won't have to do any more of these.
well, after last weekend, I'm not very confident in them.
Yeah, they got bodied, but so did Norcal,
Yeah,
right? It's not like Duck's going to show up.
that's true.
So, yeah,
Dude,
it's not that
Cali
bad spot.
got bodied this weekend. None of us were in winter semis.
Yeah, and I think, you know, it's hard to tell because, I mean, that's one event. But I wouldn't be surprised if some of those East Coast guys who get a little bit less exposure, especially the MDVA up and comers, are actually better than the West Coast staples that just get invited and flown out everywhere.
Oh, it's
Actually,
debatable. I mean, we don't talk
actually,
about. Go ahead.
I actually talk about this with Smash 4 a lot. I think I talked to Esan about this once, where I was like, there's a tier of Smash 4 players where it's like obvious for me that those guys are straight up better. Like Zero, MKLeo, whatever, like because they're pretty consistent. Like they occasionally get upset because Smash Four, but on the whole, you put anyone in a room and those guys generally do pretty well, right? And then there's the second tier, where it feels like the thing that differentiates their results the most is attendance. Like the fact that they're considered better is simply because they just go to more stuff, right? Like is a guy like Esam, for example, better than Mistake? Like who goes to less events, is in Canada, but like whenever he goes, he gets as good or better results. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes I wonder that about like someone like Zane, where I'm like, he doesn't go to as much of those guys or Laud, right? Like the narrative has been for a bit that there's no Peach. Now that MacD got is less active. That's really in that like top 20, top 30 tier. Dude, Laud's results are godlike.
They're really good. But I think one thing we also forget is the natural expectations we have on people. So when Laud loses to Gatsu, nobody's going to bat an eye on it. People are going to look at it like it's like, oh, he lost. But you take a person that you compare Laud to and say Laud's better, and you say player X, who we know is a top 20 stable, loses to Gatsu, then everybody's, going, oh my gosh, that's a horrible bracket. That's like a big upset. And so I think there's also a little bit of perception correction we do need to have because if Law loses to Gatsu, nobody says anything.
Gatsu gets no respect, dude.
That's because
Yasuo loses
Gatsu's
to
been terrible. Gatsu's been terrible this year.
What's his record against Cobalt? What's the head to head?
It's a lot to a little. I'll actually look that up for you. I
It's
didn't.
one of the best ones. It's like Mafia Crush levels.
No, nothing is Mafia Crush levels. Like Mafia Crush levels, like it's depressing. Like it's like.
I'm
Go
the
ahead.
number one Gatsu fan, I think, in the whole
Oh, I
world.
love Gatsu. Gatsu's a sweetie.
No, I don't mean just as a person. I think his play style, he's like such an inspiring, incredible player. Like the way he plays melee is gosh darn beautiful and extremely hard to execute and extremely impressive. I think that guy is hella good and has a very high ceiling.
Okay, so
So I got that bias. I just love watching him.
do you want to hear the results of Gatsu Cobalt in 2017?
Oh, don't hit me with it. Don't hit a Gatsu fan with it.
2-40.
Oh,
It's like
no.
a shade under like 5%.
Gatsu, you're better than that, man.
Yeah.
You're better than 5%.
He's not even at the 5% level. So compliments to Gimme That Wheat for maintaining this godlike spreadsheet that I use as reference. But I mean, point being is like I think Lod's amazing. I see him climbing up to top 20 by the end of 2018, and probably if you seeded him seeded a tournament today, I think 20 to 25 is very fair.
So, first of all, I think it depends, right? Like, it depends on if it goes to more. So, this is
He
another
actually went to a
conversation.
lot this year.
What do you call a lot? I call a lot of different than you call a lot, it sounds like. I call a lot being a professional Smash Brothers player. Or, like, going to an equivalent amount.
Okay, so in the last 6 months, let's see. I mean, in the last 6 months, he's been to like most of the big things at least. Evo, SmashCon, Shine, Big House, Pat's House, in Smash and Splash. Like, I think that's a lot.
See, that's where you and me differ. I don't think that's a lot.
Well, like, how many?
What is that? That's 5 major events?
It's like
in the
once a
last-
month.
That's not once a month. That's the Smash Splash was what, May, and now we're in December. May's the 5th month. That's 7 months, and you just named what, 4 or 5 events?
Yeah, but
That's
keep
like
in
once
mind,
every-
like, how many can he attend in November or September?
A few.
Like, what tournaments really were there?
You could have gone to like a tipped off or something, or you could have gone. There's a ton of stuff you could have gone to. He's in a region which has events near it. There's definitely stuff he could have gone to.
That's true.
I'm not saying like he can necessarily afford to go to more, or that I'm like blaming him, but I'm saying that
Okay.
usually when you're trying to be, a professional Smash player, play a little bit more often than once every 2 months.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, okay, so I see where your head space is at because I initially thought you were making the impression that like he plays as much as like Santi, but
No,
now I see
Santi-
where you're coming from.
Son doesn't even go out of region. I think Laud plays as much as he can. Like I have no blame for him. He's trying to grind. He's trying to go out there and he's trying to get better, and he's trying to get results on the board. I just think that like he literally doesn't get prize money from events. I don't see how you expect him to go to more than he does.
I think he's also in school. I think that's the big reason why he appears out of the woodworks mostly in the summer.
Yeah, I mean he might squeeze in one more event before the end of the year. We never know. So I think he's hella good. I think he's one of those guys. And so I was seeding Blood for Blood. NorCal attendees, if you're curious why that seeding isn't out yet, it's because of TAFL. We're doing this show instead of me finishing up seeding. I'm mostly, you know me, TAFL. I don't try to do the dirty work anymore. But I wanted to do it again because I haven't used Smash GG's interface in a few months.
I almost heard an adjective in there.
What? I didn't make an adjective.
I almost heard you slip one, and then you hesitated. Anyway, keep going.
Okay. So I I wanted to use their features and all that. There's some cool new stuff, especially I want to use like their conflicts thing. That's pretty cool. Um, so I was doing the seeding and looking at like the GAR PR is still active and updated, and I was talking to like Chris Best, Nintendo. Like I talked to Sheridan, like a ton of people who've gone to a lot of NorCal tournaments in the region, and quickly I realized the national perception is so fucking different than what the locals actually think of people's skills, especially among players who don't move in the region much. You know what everyone's been telling me needs to be the third seeded team in NorCal at this tournament? The third seeded tournament, the team in the whole freaking tournament. You know what people have been telling me, Tafo?
Yeah, I would love to see a list of teams for this event, but do tell.
Okay. You know what? I'm just gonna pull it up because everyone's gonna get it wrong. Everyone in this chat, except maybe some Norcalians, are gonna get it wrong.
Is it
In
gonna?
terms of, in terms of like what everyone is, literally every Norcalian I've talked to, it says no, Blur. Look at the results, and I've looked at the results, and they're right. So I want to show you how wrong people are, like on a national level in terms of like this.
I'm gonna have to guess that Rocky is somehow involved in this.
Just go with the flow. Let me give you the list of teams. Okay, so there's Westfall's Lucky, Shroomed Allen, Nintendo Cactuar, Rocky Spark, Homemade Waffles Reno, Laudanis Azusa, NMWL, Silent Spectre Tang, Dark Atma Kalamazoo, Ralph Wavebringer, Diskit Boogie and Kevbot, Toph and Dr. Z, U Martin Azel, YCZ and Zork. Who is the third best team of the ones I've listed?
The Rocky team.
No.
Wavebringer.
Okay, you know your NorCal a little bit better.
Yeah.
So Wavebringer and Ralph. And by the way, the Rocky team, most people are telling me to put it fourth. Ralph Wavebringer have beaten like they got ninth at Genesis. What?
Yeah, they're good.
They're disgustingly good.
But I technically cheated because I played with Ralph and Wavebringer at Berkeley, like in the early days, and like I keep tabs on them, so like I'm probably an exception.
Still, you would think, like I think from a national level, if you just pay attention to national results, that okay, maybe Homemade Waffles Reno, those guys have been good at teams for a while. When I did first in my sitting, I had them at third, or maybe Nintendo Cactuar, two extremely good players, higher ranked than everyone else in singles. On the PRs. Maybe you think Laudanis Azusa, right? Azusa, better piece than Wavebringer. Laudanis, you saw what he did at Pound. He's just a very good player. Maybe you think SS Tang, extremely good player. Atma Kalamazoo, again, better players overall. Diz does really well. No, the answer, the consensus answer from everyone I talked to was Ralph Wavebringer. Isn't that crazy? Who nationally knows who Ralph and Wavebringer are? Most people don't. And similarly, like with Rocky and like a lot of like the new blood out here, right? Like, in terms of like, and this is more of a singles discussion. People out there in the ether, like guys like Spark, Rocky, Ralph, and you can go down the list, right? Like, would most people say, I don't know how good, like let's say someone like Umarth, Azel, Zork, Kevbot, Rimo, Diplomatic Toucan. Like a lot of these names, no one I'm talking to knows who they are. I feel like
Diplomatic Toucan's in the chat.
Shout out to Diplomatic Toucan. I scouted you, and we're seeing you correctly. I want to let you know that. And that's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. It makes me think like. These guys just got a chance to travel out more often. Like Rocky, if you got to travel out more often, what rank do you think you'd be on MIO?
I think he has like a fair contention for like 80 to 100 ish.
You think he's gonna make 80 to 100?
If he traveled more.
But he's not. He's not gonna make top 100. And I'm telling you, his skill is assuredly in that tier.
But like hypothetically speaking, I'm pretty sure every region has like 10 to 20 players that you could put, and then it's like, well. I mean, unfortunately, we can't put you on because, like, then we can play this devil's advocate for like 300 people that don't attend events out of region.
I mean, you heard my rant with Hugs, but I think it's so much. It speaks so much to the fact that once we get to ranks 40 and below, it's so much about attending.
Yeah,
it's so much. because we don't have consistent attendance from the players who are not sponsored, right? Like
Yeah.
that, there's a certain level of player where you can be on their level, but because you literally can't afford to travel as much as they do, you will not get recognized to
Yeah.
their level, right? There's a lot of players like that.
Yeah. I agree. But if we're given a system where we encourage attendance versus not, then I think we should go with encouraging attendance.
All right, I'm not going to do the same rant twice, but the point is, there's a lot of hidden bosses out there, guys. Put
Yeah.
some respect on those names, and the brand. I know the brand value matters. Like people watch for their favorite players, but pay attention. Part of the fun of watching Smash, is to know and follow the skill level across regions, and like know the hidden bosses, and like when you're watching Smash, watch for a Rocky match, because that dude is just as good as other people you're watching. He just doesn't go out as much, so you might not know him as well.
Yeah. I mean, Rocky's on the ballot this year.
That guy's a top 100 player. I don't care what anyone says.
I mean, he made it to like the final 128 players. So like,
He's not gonna make it. I know for a fact that dude's not gonna make top 100. And I haven't even looked at the ballots yet. I've obviously seen some stuff, but I don't know.
I think he does. Like even just looking at the TAFA stats on him, he has like a better record against like the like at least 50 fringe players.
Well, I hope so, man.
Like I'm willing to bet money that he makes it.
I hope so. Jerry, people are talking about Jerry. Jerry's hella good at MTVA.
I think a lot more people know Jerry than
Is it Xanadu?
because of Xanadu, the MDVA Invitational. Like I think by now, like a lot, I would pretty much say that more people know about Jerry than Rocky probably.
So the right now local scenes in general are getting very little exposure. Small exception to Socal, but Socal not anymore really. Like Power 9 and TMC are the only things that get like moderate viewership. TMC not really anymore. We don't even commentate that thing. We don't even care. We're phoning it in at this point. So sometimes Power 9 gets viewership, but it's not even that great. Like what is it? I think it's on right now. It's at like probably like 300 views.
Feels bad, man.
Yeah, it's at 225 views. And who's playing? Right, Lucky and SUJ, dude. Like, come on. That's terrible. So even SoCal doesn't get exposure anymore. It's kind of crazy. The local levels are just like totally not getting that level of exposure. And it's never been worse to be one of those players who are on a come up, but are just not getting seen. Norcal straight up doesn't have tournaments that are streamed. And when they're streamed extraordinarily poorly with like sub 20 viewers, right? Like it's effectively not at all.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad. Like I don't even know what's going on with NorCal.
So I don't know how someone would know that Rocky's good. They would have to like follow the brackets and not watch matches. Like it's silly.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
So
Anyway, so originally we kind of like went. The original reason why we talked about this is because we're talking about seeding doubles. So let's bring it back. So blood for blood, interesting doubles. Do you see anything interesting in singles?
well, obviously it's NorCal SoCal.
Who are the people coming? Like I haven't seen the attendee list.
Shroom, Lucky, Dizkid, Wes, Balls, Nintendo, Mike Hayes, Laudandis, Army, Spark, Face Roll, Azusa, Rocky, Cactuar, Kalamazoo, NMW, Dark Atma, L, Homemade Waffles, Ralph, Vish, Alan, YCZ, Sound Spectre, Reno. So pretty stacked.
Like this kind of slipped my mind, like because there is one player that does travel a lot, and I've kind of waited for a while to see like a breakout, but I haven't seen it yet, and that's like in NMW. And I'm hoping that like eventually like something comes. I think he's like really good locally. Like I'm pretty sure every NorCal player, but I haven't seen him perform at a national level. So I'm kind of wondering like, so we saw it with Santi at Pat's house, and we have these people that are just good in region, but as soon as they travel, they're like garbage.
Yeah, it takes a lot of, you know, a lot of time to get used to traveling out and like getting used to like getting the right amount of sleep and getting over the nerves. So that's usually just a process. It doesn't mean they're not as good. It just means that they're just not used to it. That's what I've noticed at least. It takes a little time to get you acclimated to it. That's all.
Um, do you want to put a wager on this tournament?
I'm pretty confident Socal's winning. Right? I mean, last time that Pew Pew Nintendo Grand Finals.
What?
So I mean, there's like I'd say 6 people who can win this tournament. Shroom, Lucky, Diz, West, Nintendo, Mike Hayes.
Why isn't
And
PewFat attending this?
I mean, Pew Pew's right around the corner. I offered SFAT flight and housing. He said yes initially, and then he backed out. So, you tell me. I don't know, man. We did our best to get everyone out.
Dude, what if like Army just like beat all the SoCal players and then loses Kalamazoo?
That'd be funny. I mean, it's totally possible.
Dude,
The way we're doing seeding though, it's the SoCal matchups are pretty minimal. Like it's there. I think it's actually impossible without like major upsets for them to play each other into losers quarters.
so you're telling me you rigged
We're
the
just not gonna
bracket?
see it. I rigged the bracket so it's SoCal v Norcal instead of SoCal v SoCal. Yes.
I'm just messing with you, man.
Yeah.
Dude, what if Army? I have a feeling Army's gonna get like fourth or something at this tournament.
He could. He could just win. He could. He could. He has an outside chance of winning the whole thing.
He has like a
An outside
2%
chance.
shot. Like
Uh,
if he just avoided like Dwan, like I think he can do it.
Shroom is supposed to be the favorite, but I don't feel he is. I feel the ICs are the favorites. Diz and Nintendo, most likely.
I think
Um,
dude, I think Army actually has a good chance of winning this. Like I think Shroomed is his worst matchup here. Like I think he can win.
is Shroom that bad? Have they played before? Do you know?
I think Shroomed is probably the best against like Ice Climbers out of the people I see here. I don't know if
I,
they played.
it's one of those tournaments where I feel like this is like Shroom's sort of nightmare tournament. You have a guy like Lucky who's going to be tough for him. Wes has always given him trouble. He's had numbers for a while. There's a period of Shroom's career where Wes was just tearing him up. I think the Sheik is going to help him. Has helped him against Wes because Wes tends to be weak against Sheik, but still. And then there's Ice Climbers, which he can't go Sheik against. So he has to go with Marth, and who knows how that'll go. Nintendo especially is strong against that. And my keys are really strong. Like I think Shroom has a solid like 6-7 people who we can lose to. Now all the other contenders do too. But it's really hard to say there's a prohibitive favorite in this one, even if you go by rank.
All right. Gosh, I thought Kevin was gonna show up. This actually makes it kind of tricky.
It does make it tricky. I really wanted to do a Norcal versus Socal crew battle, but like over the last few years, it's been literally impossible to get them all in the same room. It's practically impossible. So we're gonna do cool stuff. Obviously, we're gonna do singles, doubles. And we're gonna do like amateur bracket and fun stuff. I think it'll be a good one.
I think
Norcal doesn't often get really good big like local tournaments, so
the person that actually has the most to prove here is Wes. Like,
Wes really wants to win this. There's a bunch of tweets that we can pull up that are like, if you guys haven't seen that sick ass trailer, I recommend looking at that. Blood for Blood. Half the reason I host it is because the trailers are so fun to watch.
and who does those trailers, Blur?
First one was by Eric. He's a homie. He's a good guy, and he also does like Endgame stuff. So if you guys watch Endgame TV, Eric's the homie. And then the second one was done by Alex M, who is actually a guy who works for Blitz Esports. So you know how it is. Putting out the feelers everywhere, trying to get the best trailer talent. I wish people put as much effort into stuff like that. I don't know if it matters. I don't know. Like I looked at like the Genesis 5 trailer. You probably didn't ever watch it. I think it has like 2,000 views on YouTube. Like very low, right? So it's hard to say how much it actually matters for an event of that size to put something like that out. but I want to say it matters because I love that sort of attention to detail. I think it makes a difference, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, so what I was going to say is West Balls tweeted, I'm going to quote this. So SoCal is taking Blood for Blood seriously, and I will be teaming with Legend of Lucky for the first time ever. They're trying to sweep singles and doubles, and Lucky is similarly hype about this. They were very salty when they lost last year. Remember West versus Pew Pew, how close that was. That was I would say one of the best sets of that year. Arguably like the best set of that year. It was a really, really good set. It's cool. It's good that they have another chance.
Watch Lucky and Wesley start Wavebringer and Ralph.
Dude, Wavebringer and Ralph at this point, the hype around them is getting out of control. I've heard from people in a tournament with West Lucky teaming, they were like, Ralph Wavebringer and beat them. That's what I'm getting. Literally, the feedback I'm getting. There's two scenarios. Either they're as good as everyone says they are, or they have a rabid fan base that is trying to poke and prod my ear for better seating.
No, they're legit.
Right,
at least I think they're legit.
Or you're another one of those fans.
Dude, well, I mean, we have the Berkeley connection, but I don't know. Remember Lord?
Yeah. Did he bring those two up?
No, he didn't. They're from separate areas. Did you want to talk about the next week's action? The following week after this week's? Or
I don't think anyone knows what's happening that week.
Apparently Duck said something.
He did say something that he wasn't supposed to say. So there's going to be something that weekend. It's going to be one of the coolest things in a while. I'm actually probably the most hype event I've been for like the last couple months. I think it's going to be really, really cool. I think it's going to be really, really good. So the standard. Just trying to get more content out there, get more stuff for the fans. I think as you guys know, there after Pat's House and DreamHack pretty much wasn't anything on the calendar for like until Genesis, which is like a solid like almost 2 months, right? Like 7 weeks. So we got to do some stuff to make it better. Another part of that was like helping Gimmer with the Smash 4 side, and then we might do some stuff in January. I think for 2018, I'm probably going to try to like put even more effort into filling calendar time, just because there's less TOs willing to TO. So like we look at Europe, 2018 is really dead because so many TOs are quitting or like don't want to TO or whatever. And honestly, the only solution that I found is to just pop up events on my own. And, usually every year I'm good for like 5 or 6. But I mean, I could make that like 20 or I could make that like 15 or I'm not committing to a number, but basically if I see a dead period, I will make something even if it's last minute happen just to help Smash out.
No, that's fair. You mentioned yesterday that you were going to be in a ranting mood though. You seemed jolly.
I was super negative yesterday. That's why I said I didn't want to do the show. You asked me yesterday if I want to do the show, and I said I'm in too negative of a space, which is weird because overall my life's going good. But there's just some stuff that like bothered me, and I wasn't in the mood. But I mean, I'm in a better mood today, so it's one of those things. Oh. Well, dude, you can get a rant out. You know how easy it is to provoke me. We'll do a talk. Dafa?
I'm just looking at you right now.
All right. Oh. Hey, how you doing? How you doing? So yeah, like we got cool stuff this weekend. I'd say as cool as Blood for Blood is, I think the next weekend's going to be even cooler. There's pretty much going to be nothing until the end of the year because it's Christmas time, around then. January, obviously you guys know about Genesis, and maybe we can get something going in February. I think February is the tough one. No TO wants to host in February. It's really sad, but we're trying to do some stuff. So we'll see.
What's in February? Oh, okay. Yeah, there's usually never anything in February.
Yeah. But we'll make stuff happen, guys. Like you know how it is. Basically, as much as I complain about TOs quitting and not hosting, they're still doing local level stuff. Like there was never an incentive to be a local level TO. You just do it because you love it, and for the most part, that part has still continued. It's just the majors that they're stopping because they're losing money. But worst case scenario, we just make it happen ourselves, and we can still make up for the gaps. It's just more work, so we'll always be fine. It's not
So,
so big a deal.
so as the outlook look for 2018?
2018, I expect minor growth. That right now, I don't expect us to explode or anything, but I think another healthy, positive year. I think I'm mostly thinking about Smash 4 right now. I know people don't think I think about them equally or the same, but I actually do. I don't like the games as much, but I think they're critical for the Smash scene's health. There's some things in the viewership and some of the stuff that it's a little troubling for me. You saw the 2G championship had significantly less viewership than some of the other sagas.
It didn't even get as much as Frosty.
Frostbite. Yeah, it didn't get Frostbite, which was in February. It didn't get as much as Frostbite, and didn't do as well as Civil War. Or I don't remember. I don't think it lost to Nairo Saga. But basically, the point is that like there were Wii U only tournaments earlier in the year that did better than this quote unquote championship, which I found odd. Right, I really thought 2GC was going to be extraordinarily large in terms of viewership. And I was a little underwhelmed.
And it wasn't even like they were competing with like a lot of things that weekend either.
They weren't competing with anything. Like they were given that spot and that's it, right? I mean, sure there was Melee stuff that weekend, but that's not the same audience, right?
Like
for Wii U, it matters if there's a League thing or a CS:GO thing more than it matters Melee. Melee guys, people just don't watch Wii U, so like. It matters. I genuinely, at this point, for Wii only events, look at the League of Legends calendar more than I look at the Melee one. It's the crossover with Melee is like nothing.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it was entertaining. Like I had that. I had the 2GG stream up the same time I was watching Pat's house, and there was like another DreamHack, and I was rotating back and forth. So I was just like, well, that sucks. Yeah.
And, I think like a lot of people had really good impression of the 2G production value too.
It was amazing.
I mean, I'm a stickler, so I don't know if I agree with that, but
okay. Compared to what we normally have for Smash, it was amazing.
I don't think this is the appropriate way to do feedback, but so I'm just gonna skip over that. I thought it was quite bad, but I think people liked it, so they disagree with me. In general, the people liked it, which I think is more worrying than not. I think, but by the way, I'm a guy who thought Overwatch League's production yesterday was also bad. So I care about very different things than some people. So just move past that part. I don't want to give my feedback like that. I think if people like the production value and all the top players were there, and it's the championship,
and it got less than 30K.
I did a little better than that. I think I got 35, but that's super. Like, what the hell, right? Like, you do all that, you add the pop ones, you add all this stuff, and you only get 35K. What else you got to do?
And I don't know. I mean, and it also had an upset. It had an underdog story. MK Leo won. He pulled out Meta Knight. Like, I felt like it had like everything you wanted out of a tournament, even from like a narrative standpoint.
Yeah, and me personally, I don't really play Wii U that much, but sometimes I really like watching it. There were some dope sets. There were some times I was like, dude, this is sick to watch. And there were some sets that were less dope. I remember, I think it was like Salem versus somebody on Smash. Dude, Smashville is killing that game. The music on Smashville.
I hate the music on Smashville.
I'm telling you.
Can we rant on how terrible that music is?
Oh my god! So you know when FGC players make fun of us for Dreamland? Um, maybe we've gotten used to it. Maybe they've gotten used to Smashville and they don't even notice it. Um, but Smashville music literally is the reason why sometimes I don't watch Smash 4. Like gameplay, I'm cool. The Smashville music is what's stopping me. Like, it's freaking KK Ryder, who's supposed to be like this gimmicky fun guy in Animal Crossing, which you don't really listen to his music. He's just like a fun little side thing, and it's actually the music, and it's infuriating. It's just the hardest. It's the thing that like you just can't get hype over that music. It's impossible. And they play it every set, and they play Town and City every set too. It's like, oh my, I just can't deal with this buzzing sound of KK singing. It's just so bad.
And to make it, gosh, like, and I like the other music in the game. Like the Dreamland alternate music is like amazing in that game.
Yeah, I mean, like, people in the chat are defending Dreamland music. I also think Dreamland music is actually pretty hype and it's not that bad. But FGC people, they complain about it. Maybe they have a point. It's definitely Dreamland music is not as good for hypeness as like FD or Fountain of Dreams. Are you serious? Fountain of Dreams? Oh my God, Fountain of Dreams is.
Yeah, no one should ever make fun of Fountain of Dreams.
Fountain of Dreams music. Stadium? People are talking about Stadium right now? That means, woo! In terms of a hype match, it really amplifies.
How about FD and Battlefield?
FD and Battlefield are godlike, right? Like they got like the sci-fi thing going, and that really keeps it like murky and dark. And it's really cool that we have like the opposite with like Yoshi's and stuff and Dreamland. So overall, obviously I think the worst of the bunch you have to admit is Dreamland in terms of hype. I think the song's good. It's just like it can get grating and for some people.
It's because it has this like drum beat in the background that like, oh god, it's so annoying.
So I get it, right? But it's definitely not even like in the same like sphere as Smashville music. Smashville music genuinely hurts that game. Like I don't think people turn off the stream for Dreamland. Maybe they do. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't have any stats to back up what I'm saying, but I know I turn off the stream because of Smashville music. I literally I've watched 2 hours of Wii U. I'm like, I can't take this anymore. I can't. But the gameplay was dope.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think we'll see where Wii U goes next year. I think that's one of my biggest curiosities. I mean, we kind of know Melee's gonna be all right. It had a pretty good year. It's technically its best year of all time. 2017, yes, still its best year. I know a lot of people love 2016, but 2017 did beat it. 2017 was dope. I think 2018 is gonna be Melee's best year ever. And I hope if there's a drop off on Wii U, it's not too much. I think overall Smash as a whole is likely going to have incremental growth next year, and that's great.
So for most people, they only look at peak viewership. So like, what would you say to them that say like, oh, Smash is dropping? Right? Because people they'll look at Genesis and Evo, and look at the peak and look at the attendance. It's all going down. Like, you and I know that that's not the best metric. So like, how would you defend that stance?
I mean, the only things that matter to me are okay. So, how do you define growth, right? How does a C define growth?
Yeah, that's what I want to get out of you.
Right. So, I think the two core metrics that we as a community should always use to define our growth primarily are viewership and how's your viewership measured. I like to use hours watched. I think that's the best metric, period. You could also use unique viewers, but I don't think that's nearly as good. It's usually a misleading stat. I think hours watched / minutes watched, whichever one you want to use, is the best stat there. And then there's also live attendance, and that one's really easy. How many people, how many unique people attend Smash events per month, per year, whatever. And a sub live attendance stat is how often do they activate? Like, they just go once and then not come back again. What's retention like? What's resurrection like? Resurrection means they stop playing and then they come back, right? Is that good? And all those things, right? People always go in and out and it's good to know that. So those are the two core stats. But there's a lot of other stats that are like ancillary stats that are important and related. Like for example, um, revenue per unique, right? Are we monetizing on smashers at a good rate, right? Like, what is our monetization per smasher? How much money are they spending on Smash per user, right? Like, that's an important stat. You want the number to go up because that means there's more in the hands of the infrastructure, the TOs, which can invest back into the scene, which can give those smashers a better experience, right? That's like one example, right? And then you could like break it down to more specific stuff through revenue, like merch sales. How much are they spending on merch? You could do catering at events. How much do they spend on catering? What's the percentage of that's ticket sales? Blah blah blah. You could do stuff like like another statistic could be prize pools and player payouts and things like that. That's another statistic you can always use to measure growth. All these side statistics far less important than live attendance and viewership because they're the core of what makes you big, right? They're the core of how important you are. Who cares if your prize pools aren't as high as the other game? I'm sure the few top players will, but if your viewership and your live attendance is far surpassing them, usually what that means is those games will exist for a little while. The people who are winning will get paid for a year or two, and then whoever's paying that money will stop and they'll go back to being irrelevant. Like it doesn't matter. It's the core stats that matter are live attendance and viewership.
Okay, so I just want to make that clear because I find like I'm fighting like a downhill battle whenever somebody just points this out. I'm like, no, that's not the only metric. So I'm just gonna reference this Twitch clip in the future.
Yeah, sure. And I could give like a breakdown of like every single metric. I think one of my priority goals for next year is to find a way to have comprehensive data on all of our metrics. We're getting close. Unfortunately, Smash is not there yet. They don't let you host a tournament without talking to them, which is like a core problem, right? Like you have to. Most tournaments are still not on their platform. The big ones are, but
Oh
challenge
man,
is
I
most
would
of the locals.
kill if Xanadu and other events were on Smash GG.
Yeah, challenge still does like almost every tournament, and frankly, you can see why. Like, it's just faster to set up. If you just want to run a 16-man bracket, it takes seconds on challenge, right? So, it's still got a big draw there. And also, with challenge is localized. So, like, how are you going to tell like the Japanese scene to use Smash G when challenge has a Japanese version and Smash G doesn't, right? Um, so those problems like keep it from having market share. It has a lot of penetration within the big time events, but unfortunately, smaller time ones less so. Um, so one of my goals, as I was saying, was to get accurate metrics for everything. And obviously, because of my position at Twitch, I have extremely accurate and detailed and metrics for viewership. Um, Live attendance, the best I've been able to do is there are spreadsheets which detail the 100 plus, 200 plus tournaments. We used to do that, by the way, back in the day, me and Joe guy. We used to maintain them a while ago. And then there was a guy named Milo who did some work. Juddy in
Smash 4, yeah.
Smash 4, he does it also. So those are all right. It's not great. Honestly, there's too much stuff to really use that well. My hope is that one day Smash GGs can get at a point where they have enough of tournaments for us to really value their data and to take notice of those sort of stuff. And then, going down the list, like of different stuff that matters, of different metrics that matters, getting accurate data in those and be able to track them. I think making a strategy for a scene is way easier once you have all that stuff, because I've mostly been using viewership as my North Star, and I want to use those other stuff to like understand where the scene's hurting. And most of the time I'm just, using my intuition. And that's not good enough.
I have, according to TAFA stats, I have about 118 events in this ranking period that are above 100.
Dope. But I mean, that's not a good way for us to track things. But it's something, right? Like 118, that's a lot. I want to let me pull up Give me a second. I'm gonna pull up the old articles. Joe guy and I worked on the year in reviews. You remember those?
Yep.
Um, and I'll tell you how good 118 is. So 118, 100 plus on your list. And by the way, your list is going to be extremely wrong. So it's probably closer to 200, right? Because you won't get the larger locals, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I don't. I probably my 200 plus is probably accurate though.
So up until the year 2013, and that's the first 12 years of Smash, there were only 81 100 plus tournaments. Okay? So the first 12 years of Smash had 81 100 plus tournaments, and this year had like 200 plus, right? And you only track Melee, right?
Yeah, I only track Melee.
So keep, like this 100, the 81 number is also Melee only that I'm talking about, not Brawl and stuff. But if you include Smash 4, obviously the number's big too, and it's not like Brawl had a lot of 100 pluses.
Yeah.
By 2013. So the point is that we literally have more large tournaments in a month nowadays than we had in a whole year back then, right? Like that is a genuine stat that happens all the time. But not only that, we have more 100 plus events. Like we have like triple the number of 100 plus events as we had in the first 12 years of our existence.
Yeah.
So
we had
we're okay.
We had 143 this year, according to Milo.
So Milos is 143, so maybe it's 143, which would be about double of the first 12 years. I wonder what his number is for 2016.
He has 189 for 2016.
Oh, so maybe that's terrible. That does not sound good. Maybe we're declining on that. We don't really know, right? Like, and it's not like 100 plus is the best statistic. But that's, that doesn't sound good, does it? I don't know how accurate and finished his list is either. Like
I don't know. The tough ones are those challenge brackets that like are hidden.
Yeah, that too. I mean, the poor guy has to manually find all this stuff, right? It's extraordinary. He's doing God's work. He's doing incredible work to do all that.
Yeah.
I know, like on a personal note, like Team Oxy is a big reason why there's less 100 pluses. I'm not sure how relevant that is to those scenes overall growth. We used to clock in like 20, 30 every year because SSS was a bi-weekly and was getting 100 plus every time, right? So the difference we're describing is SSS not existing almost by itself, right? So it's not like SSS was that important, right? Like I don't know if that really means we're declining. It just means one tournament series that was contributing to one statistic is less active than it was before.
And
right?
Not the most important metric, but Jackzilla mentions that our payouts have gone like ridiculously higher in the past like couple years.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if our prize pool is going to be higher in 2017 than 2016. I think it will be just because the summits were much bigger this year.
And we also had GTX.
We also had GTX.
We had 6 stream hacks. I think we're easily above.
Yeah, we're actually quite significantly above. And I know the player salaries have only increased. That happened near the end of last year, but like this year's been pretty good, I'd say. So 2017 player payments have gone up clearly. Attendance, hard to say. We never have complete data. I think if I say anything, it's probably a decline. I don't know. But if there's less than 100 pluses, and we know some of the major events have declined in attendance, some increase, but my intuition says more decline. It's probably a small decline. I don't know. Viewership did go up on the whole. The spikes are smaller, but the whole is bigger, with some caveats.
We got more girthy then.
We got more girthy. Yeah, like Gamer said, there's a whole tab on my spreadsheet just for SSS because it was so many, and it's just gone now. So, like, it's again, I don't know how much the attendance like. So what, right? Like, it's losing like 30 some odd because of one tournament series just means one region is less active. It doesn't say as much about the whole scene, right?
And that probably means we have like a ton of like 50 plus events.
Yeah, right. Because like, great. Now Power Nines get and TMTs get like 60, 70, and so instead we have 2 60, 70 weekly tournaments instead of one 150, 200 person bi-weekly, right? that just means SoCal shifted what it does for its events, right? Less so than it means that metric is particularly valuable. Because to me, two 70-person events a week is practically as good as one 150-person event every other week, right? And maybe it's even better, right? In terms of activation, maybe that's even better. But because we're using 100 plus as threshold, none of those Power 9 CMTs would ever get captured. So does that mean we're necessarily have less unique entrants in SoCal than the SSS days? Probably not. Like probably we have the same amount or similar, right? It just means they're more localized. They're going to weekday events instead of they're going to weekend events. Like hard to say. Basically, attendance hard to say. We don't have great statistics on that. I'd love to get that eventually. Viewership more girthy, less peaks, and a lot of good events, obviously, and player payouts got higher, right? So, on a year in the review scale, incremental growth. It's not like massive. I'm not going to pretend like it's great growth. 2016 was our largest growth year of all time. And people will always get surprised by that because they think 2013 was. 2016 was our best growth year. 2016 was so much bigger than 2015. For us to maintain 2016's level and get a little bit bigger is godlike, right? Like, remember how good 2016 was and how much better it was in 2015 for a moment before, knocking 2017 for a bit. I hope next year can be as good or better than this year. And I won't be sad if it's only like a 5% growth. Some esports will pass us up, which will be a shame. I think it's almost impossible for Overwatch not to be bigger than us next year. It's very likely Rocket League is going to be bigger than us next year. And with the amount of investment that like Call of Duty World League will probably get, it might be bigger than us next year. So we might move down rankings a little bit, but doesn't mean that relative to ourselves.
I still think we're good considering that Rocket, what was it? Overwatch League took in like over $200 million in outside investment to get to where they are, and we're still competing with them.
Right, and then there's outside investment from the team, but you also know like how much Blizzard itself is spending, right? Like that is a lot of money. So, what are we with our $0 to be in that game, to be challenging them? It's pretty impressive, right? Like you got to be proud of ourselves a little bit. And some of our people are getting opportunities in those other games, and good for them too. Like that's awesome to see Smash as a stepping stone. I know one of the things I'm proud of is that like a lot of the people I've worked with over time to see them get jobs, and we have so many people now who now work at Smash G, people who work at Twitch, people who work at ESL, a lot of different companies, Blizzard, tons of people came from the Smash scene, and so Smash has been a really good stepping stone for people too.
Yeah, and even people from other esports, like I think we have a pretty good network, and we're seen as cool from people that didn't originate in Smash.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the people we're talking about, Raging Cherries in chat, he's an ESL, so is Vish, right? And so I know I speak on the problems a lot of the time, but like since we're in a year in review state, this is going to be the last Commentator's Curse of the year. There's a lot to be happy about. There is a lot to be happy about, and we're going to talk about the problems as we always do. But we can't sit here and say that like there is no use in working in Smash. There's no point in growing yourself in Smash and putting in all the effort into commentary, TOing, whatever. I mean, I know for myself, I have gotten extreme benefit from that, right? Like, I have a job for that reason. I live in SF for that reason. I have all this stuff. So, you've gotten benefits from that. You've gotten benefits from it, right? Like, your articles get featured. You've had tons of spots. You do shows. All the stuff that you've gotten over time. It's not like the people who've put in the work and been doing it for a while haven't gotten rewarded at all, right? There are winners and losers. Obviously, it sucks to be the events that lose money. It sucks to be the commentators that don't make it or don't get enough recognition, or the content creators who just can't find a living. That's absolutely sucks. And those are the negatives. Those are things we always want to work on. But we made something out of this thing, and we're way farther than anyone would expect us to be.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, like, would we have imagined any of this in 2012?
Yeah, so you got to be grateful. It's good. I usually err on the side of not going through this the standard grateful smash sermon, the classic prog sermon, I'd call it, of talking about no one expects us to be here. We're not done.
We're not through yet.
We're not through yet. I usually try to veer away from that because I think it makes me personally a little complacent, and it makes me it's better for me to identify the problems and kind of always be in panic mode, and to always be worried and always be making great strides to make the scene better, because that's what gets me to work better. But overall, like, having a effectively repeat year from 2016 with a small bit of growth, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. 2016 was our best year ever, right? Now 2017 is our best year ever, hands down. And 2018 is shaping up like it probably will be too. So not so bad. It sucks to see other esports passes up. It sucks that we're no closer to being tier 1 than we were last year. But being tier 2 ain't so bad. Being where we're at is not so bad, and it's not like if we keep on growing, we won't go anywhere, right? And it's not like there aren't opportunities for explosive growth down the road. If we get enough, at bats, if we get enough opportunities, we can maybe a few things will stick and we'll get bigger.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anything else to really talk about for like this year. I mean, SSBM rank season's coming about. Everyone and their mother's tweeting me and messaging me.
When does the season end?
Well, I mean, technically blood for blood, and I really can't elaborate on why the season might be ending a week later because no one knows what's happening that week.
I'm telling you, ended 1 week later, and the rankings will be more accurate as a result. Be good.
I have a
You and I know Don't Park in the Grass being on the rankings for this year, it just made everything worse. Like, it's not good. I know it sucks, but just make them come out later. It's better that way, Tafo, and you know it. Don't Park in the Grass got like no play in this year's rank. No one remembers it. It's like most people forgot that it even counts.
Do you remember the first tournament where Wizzy beat HBox?
Yeah.
What was it?
What, didn't he do that at Rivalries?
No.
Rivalries?
No one's ever gonna.
It was What the Fox.
Yeah, but do you remember the other tournament
Hey,
this ranking?
it took me a bit.
Do you remember the other ranking tournament this year where Wizzy beat HBox?
Well, he did do it at Yahoo?
He did do it at Yahoo.
So I was right. Yahoo, and it was What the Fox. Is there a third one?
Yeah. See, no one ever remembers the tournaments in the beginning of the year, no matter how we shift it.
Okay, Smash Conference 69. What? Okay, come on! Now you're being too hard on me.
Dude, speaking of trivia, like, I wanted to give a lot harder questions to the people last time when you were peeping in the stream, but I couldn't give them harder questions because they didn't know the easy questions.
Yeah.
How do you not know who won MLG Vegas?
That people suck at trivia. I think trivia is one of like it. I've always wanted to see trivia really done well in Smash. I don't know if you guys have watched like the streamer showdown stuff that they do for some other games. It's super cool.
Can we run it as like a like with good production on a late night stream, like after like a tournament?
Yeah, I've explored it a little bit. I think it'd be freaking cool. Yeah, I think those guys are great, but I just want to do something with trivia, like even if we have to do it ourselves.
Like have Bobby Scar like be the announcer for it.
Scar could be the announcer. There's a lot of good ways to do it. All I know is that Tafel has to be not involved in any way, shape, or form. The Jeopardy at Summit was probably the worst thing I've ever seen. So as long as Tafel's not involved, I think we got a good shot.
I blame the fact that the buzzers sucked.
He blames the fact that the buzzer sucked.
Well, yeah, because you had no way of telling who buzzed first.
Yeah,
Like it doesn't lock anybody else from buzzing.
yeah, yeah. You should have probably thought about that before going up there.
You wouldn't have
Fine
thought
buzzing.
about you wouldn't have thought about
Fine
that.
buzzing. Yes, I was in Quiz Bowl. I'm a god at Quiz Bowl. Check out my Facebook pictures of me winning on local television as a youngin. Your boy was a god. So no, I would have known that. Why do you think I know so much random information? It's because I memorized it all.
Dude, could you beat Sheridan in trivia?
I don't know. I think I hope so. I'm rusty.
No, you would not beat Sheridan in trivia.
There's some things I know I'd be better than him. Like art history. I'm art history gad.
Dude,
Um,
he's like a walking. He almost made it on Jeopardy. In fact, he should have been on Jeopardy.
Tafo, who do you think I am? You think Jeopardy impresses me much?
Dude, no, he would destroy you in trivia.
Nah, 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 nah,
No, no, no.
nah, nah, nah. Anyway, to do a Bobby Scarism, point is, good year, best year we've ever had, right? And a lot of cool stuff happened, tons of so much cool stuff that's hard to remember it all. A lot of unfortunate things happened, things I would love to have been better, a lot of regrets, but also a lot of awesome things.
Okay.
And I think that,
While we're in reminiscing mode, what was your favorite set of the year?
oh boy, I'd have to see a list of like the best ones for me to really.
There's
think about.
actually like a Reddit thread on it, I think.
Is it on SSBM? You think?
No, it was on Smash Bros. Like not too long ago. Somebody's probably has it in.
Someone help me out.
Somebody probably.
Because I can figure this out if I see a list. Okay, so
Hugo says that Reddit list sucks.
that Reddit thread sucks?
I thought it was decent. Like it'll give you ideas to think about.
What is the best set?
Best set of 2017. All right, I'm putting it in the chat, Blur.
No, I already got it. Mango Armada Royal Flush is up there for sure, right? And then it wasn't Mango. I don't even see it on the list. Mango Leffen at Genesis.
Oh, that was in the original post.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And then what else is there? Yeah, I remember Armada Leffen at B7 was really good. Hungry Box. I know the answer. Hungry Box Armada at GTX.
Not Hungry Box Armada at. Oh, actually, that was really good. Hungry Armada.
Hungry Box Armada at GTX was godlike.
Yeah.
That was an extremely good set. Which makes it, by the way, for everyone's complaining, probably maybe in my estimation, maybe people think differently. For 2 straight years, Hungry Box Armada has been the best set of the year, right? Inarguably, 2016 the best set of the year was Evo Grand Finals, right? Like you have to be off your rocker if you think it was anything else. In my opinion, Xbox Armada in 2016 was absurdly good, and I think GTX Xbox Armada once again best set of the year. So suck it, Armada Xbox haters. At the end of the day, if they're delivering the best set of the year, what do you have to complain about? But I think the other contender is are the ones I listed. I mean, there's Plop Armada too. Plop getting Armada for the first time was a huge deal.
Where does Evo 2016 Xbox Armada rank for you all time?
I still say Evo 2016 is my favorite tournament of all time. That I think it's funny because like for day 1 and 2 I was kind of not feeling it, and then day 3 was just so magical. Just dreamed of being in a venue like that with a stage like that with some of the like everything there. I've dreamed about that like since I was a kid, and for the Evo staff and all of them to pull that through, like I'll be forever grateful. Like Evo 2016 was so amazing to have everything on display. And to have Melee step up and have the sets it did, so many amazing sets. We start off right off the bat with Esther Jacob doing a suicide stomp, and then we end with the best set of the year. It was incredible.
SJ, you're a legend.
Yeah, I love I love Evo 2016. It was so good. You know, other like I have a lot of like favorite quote unquote tournaments, but I at least in the last couple of years I can say that was my favorite tournament. It's so memorable. Like it didn't feel like any other tournament. It was just incredible. Um,
I'm
so
biased, so
yeah.
I think for me, Mango Armada has to take it this year for 2017.
Oh, Hugo brings up SJ, Mucha King, and Shine. That was really good. SJ and Mucha King was definitely sick. Um, so that's a great one. Last year, another contender, by the way, is None versus Mucha King at Gommel. That was absurd. Actually, Gommel in general. I think Gommel 2016 is also up there for one of the best events ever.
You
2017
were
was also really good.
you were like a giddy little girl when
Yeah, I think my Gommel commentary was really good. I think it's arguably the peak of all Smash commentary all time.
I think 2007 commentary is actually better.
2007.
Yeah, I think 2007 was the peak of commentary.
Yeah, Mucha King choke. I got it. I got it. Took me a while.
It's all
Uh,
good.
yeah. So a lot of good stuff. You know, obviously a lot of good melee went down. There was a shift in the guard. I'd say a lot. You know, hard to say that the era of the gods is over, but it's close. It's real close. And in reality, we're kind of in an era of like HBox Armada, more so than anything else. And there's a lot of like new blood that shifted up to the rankings. Like, who thought Crush would go this high?
Zane,
You know, Zane,
Lod.
changing the game. Lod, Smash God. A lot of the MDVA resurgence is huge, right?
Yeah, they were. So I actually got an interesting question. Let's take Mango out of this equation. You take MDVA's 5 best players and Socal's 5 best non-Mango players. What's the chance of MDVA winning that? So I'll give you the lineup. So for MDVA, they would probably use Chu, Lod, Zine, Rishi, and then Junebug, probably.
Sure.
And then for SoCal, it'd be Wes, Lucky, Johnny, Hugo, Mike.
Be close.
I think that'd be really close.
Be close. It'd be super close.
Like, I don't
And
think, I'm not going to say MDVA is favored, but what I want to point out is that when MDVA played SoCal, one of the big houses, we're just like, okay, this is a joke. Like, why is MDVA even here? Granted that, like, they didn't have their best players, but, like, you were never, even if they did, you weren't going to say, like, MDVA had a chance, like, against SoCal.
so the thing to say though is actually it probably actually gets better for MDVA if you go down to 10, right? Like MDVA's depth is really good now.
So, I mean,
SoCal lost depth, right? SoCal's depth has actually decreased.
I still think we have a strong 10-man lineup. I mean, I guess, do we put SFAT in?
You don't put SFAT in. Never.
All right.
Literally.
I think it gets worse.
He can be here for 10 years.
It gets worse for MDVA, in my opinion. I think their closest is 5 if we don't have Mango.
So you end up adding what? Army, face roll, squid, and then after
Mike.
that,
My case?
you already had my kid, right?
No, I didn't.
You said SJ, Lucky, West, Hugs, my case.
Oh, okay.
So you already had him in. So number 6 is
Sa-
Army. 7.
Santi.
Santi will never be at the event, so he can't count.
I think he would.
No, he wouldn't be. You could pay him to go. You could like.
Well,
do
then we can say the same thing about a lot of MDVA players.
maybe, but it's Santi's like this mysterious force that exists outside the Smash community. Like, come on. How are you gonna count Santi? Okay. Let's say you count Santi. If you count Santi, then I agree with you. Santi, Army, face roll. That's 3. And then you have to go to like. McCain doesn't play anymore.
Does he?
No, he doesn't.
Let me see. I'm actually going to do a test experiment right now. Keep talking.
I don't think McCain plays anymore. And then I think you're gonna have to go to my boy Wieners and Zio.
Oh no.
That's not an oh no. My boy Wieners is godlike.
I'd
Let's
rather
do it.
play Zach in first.
Yeah, no, Zach is not SoCal. You know it.
No, San Diego Zach.
Oh, Zach is pretty good. Um, let Wieners get some play, dude.
Dude, does Wieners even play?
Hugo's in chat saying, dude, it takes you have to get real players to make this plausible. I mean, you're not even counting SFAT. Hugo, if you want to count SFAT right now, you can just take off SoCal from your allegiances.
Call.
First of all, you betrayed us at Big House. Said, I'm not coaching this crew. You know, just act like a complete wiener. It's emoted up. Then it was a complete diva.
Okay.
And now he wants to include SFAT of all people.
Okay.
SFAT who flipped off the SoCal crowd. You're gonna let that count? So now that we're not counting Hugo, we gotta add in my boy East Coast Jeff to fill out the roster.
He was taking a knee. That's actually pretty good.
Jeez. And you know what SoCal did without Hugo? They won. They won against some absurd competition.
Damn. I feel like Hugo wants to defend himself now.
Look.
Hey, you know, I got an interesting question.
Yeah.
Who takes credit for the MLG win?
Me. I coached us to win that one. That was me. That was all me. There was a huddle. Okay, so I can tell you that the game deciding moment. Bunch of decisions happened. There was a bunch of coaching by committee up to that point. Sheridan, me, Hugo, we're talking a bunch. And there was a bunch of decisions made, whatever. But then the critical moment where that crew battle was decided, which was when Mango was sent in, right? Mango had to be sent in. And those other guys were arguing against it. And I proposed it and I argued for it. I was like, no, shut up. Put Mango in. Stop overthinking this. Stop. I yelled, Tapo. I yelled. Witnesses can agree. I was raging. I had to do I pulled out all the stops. I went to Mango like, Mango, go in. Without me, we would have won that. I guarantee it. Hugo was ready to send SoCal into a train wreck until Blur came in and talked some sense into the crew. And then what did Mango do? Took like 8 stocks off Gods? Like did one of the best runs of all time? You put Mango in! What was that, 2014 Mango? You put 2014 Mango in!
To be perfectly fair, you know the people that the Harlem Globetrotters play?
Yeah.
I feel like that's like the East Coast when it comes to crews. They somehow, good job for them winning Big House this year, but like they've literally screwed up so many crew battles. The Washington Generals.
Yeah, Washington Generals are screwed up. It's just like Hugo is the coach of the Washington Generals. You know, they're talented. Washington Generals have some talent, but Hugo likes to think he's had an influence, but he's actually been more detrimental than not, as can be seen when he took his knee, when he sat out, and SoCal actually won against a stacked Florida crew. You know who was not taking a knee? You know who was by the crew side and was on the sidelines, helping make things happen? Ya boy. You can see it in the pictures. And what happened? One of the greatest cruise upsets of all time? Where was Hugo? Where is Hugo? He was sitting next to Dunk. In the back. Also known as the brain trust of SoCal. Hugo Dunk. Doing nothing. Nothing. So Hugo, you can take SFAT into your crew. What's gonna have to kick you out of SoCal?
I'm pretty sure the SoCal Exile crew would be pretty strong.
Yeah.
Hugo's so mad that like Florida choked at Big House.
He was rooting against us. He was like, I want us to learn a lesson. What are you talking about? No! No! No!
And then like Muta King had the worst like crew battle performance of his life. What are the honest odds that Muta King would have SD'd twice against Mango and then SD'd once against...
Let me tell you something. I calculated those odds, and I put it into my math, my model, and I made the call.
that Muthy King was gonna.
I knew Mango. It's 2014 Mango. You saw what happened.
He's calling you Trump, man. Are you gonna take that?
I don't know. See, people like to compare me with people. I've been compared to Trump recently. Ludwig compared me to Harvey Weinstein. What the what the hell, guys? Come on. What have I ever done? I like Martha and May. Like, chill out, okay? First of all, chill out.
Conveniently, Martha's also a top tier.
Okay. What the point being is, not all men in power are corrupt and evil, guys. Some of us are just godlike leaders. How about that? How about that? Gosh.
Yeah. So those allegations are fake news then.
Yeah. Yeah. It was, to be fair, Ludwig, it was a funny tweet. I thought it was funny, even though I was getting compared to Harvey Weinstein. It was still pretty funny. That's the world we live in. That's the world we live in. I'm an angel over here. You get no credit.
So everybody else is the wrong one.
Yes, I'm not like Harvey Weinstein, Tafo.
That's actually pretty bad.
Yes, yes, of course. I've done nothing similar to that guy. I'm nothing like Trump. I mean, I know the art of a deal, if that's what you're talking about. I make the best deals.
You
never
make
do
the
bad trades.
You make the best deals ever.
Make the best deals.
The absolute best deals. The best deals you've ever seen.
So, jeez. Come on. Where is this coming from?
You know all about the deals, the best deals.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Anywho, now that we put to bed Hugo's claim to being a good coach. You know what Hugo's claim to being a good coach is like? All those years that DOH pretended he was godlike at teams and got good teammates. Just like that. That's actually exactly what it reminds me of.
God
You
damn.
know, hiding behind a better teammate, getting good seating because he just talks about how good he is in teams, and then, you know, doing decently well just because he's getting carried. Hugo getting carried by the shadow of Mango and Blur. Blur, the real coach, the real mastermind. And Mango, the player who goes out there and performs. So it's honestly the same thing.
I really don't know what to say.
And I don't know how you can argue, because when you have something as powerful as the eye test, so.
I feel like Hugo needs to be able to defend himself.
Nah. So, okay, let's talk about more things of the year. Roasting Hugo is a lot of fun, but, I mean, it's an easy target.
What's your favorite roast of Hugo this year? I'm just kidding.
Hugo, what did this guy just message me? Hugo? Hugo was trying to get something out of me. That's what's going on here. Based on his last message. I already did the seating, Hugo. Why are you trying to make me do more work? What? How did that... What? Here, we're just talking about the stream. Do you want to go to Blood for Blood? I have to reseed to do that. I don't know if I want to. It's not like you're going to give Socal a better chance to win. You might take out one Ice Climber. Can you take out... Answer this question for me, honestly. Hugo, commit to me. Because I'm worried about Diz and Nintendo. Can you take out one Ice Climber for me?
He did at that one SoCal Mayhem. He took out both of them, didn't he?
Can you take out... Just commit to me for this. I will reseed this damn thing if you just tell me you will take out one Ice Climber. One. He says he can take out all Ice Climbers. All I need is one. I don't even need, like, double eliminate them. You just need to do one set win. Clear the path a little bit. Then you'll be a team player. Hugo, you said you could take out all Ice Climbers. So, can we do internet handshake? I don't really understand. I thought you were going to Smash Camp. What's going on now? How did that get canceled? I don't understand. But I will do the handshake, internet handshake, if you agree to take out one ice climber. That's your challenge.
I'm gonna laugh so hard, Blur, if you accidentally screw up the seating and put him against Shroomed.
Is it? It's pretty nice to have Socal in their seating. Last time Sharon did the seating, so keep that in mind. Norcal had the best seating, so.
You know, I still get blamed for NorCal seating, even though I had nothing to do with it. Certain international players will put me in the same bucket as the NorCal seeders and say, "Well, you were responsible for seating at this tournament, this tournament, this tournament." Like, no, I wasn't. Please don't put me in the same bucket. I don't even remember the last time I've seeded anything. So is Hugo invited?
Yes.
What if Hugo won the tournament?
Um, we like to talk about it within the realm of the reality here, Tadpole.
Ooh. I'm not saying any. I'm not roasting you. I'm not the one that's roasting.
He's just trying to get my guys. We need to continue with the commentator's curse. This is an active, lively show with a lot of topics discussed. We had a great year.
We did.
You know, um, another thing I'm excited about Blood for Blood, is there's a couple NorCal up and coming streamers that we're gonna have helping with the production. They're not gonna be the main producers, but helping with the production. I'm excited for that because now that Spencer is like basically impossible to get, to book because he's doing so much stuff, we really need a new NorCal streamer. Like it's really really important. So one of the things I'm most excited about is meeting those guys and seeing how good of a job they do. Because if they do a good job, might just have, a ton of work for them in the future. So need that to happen. Anyway, people were talking about Samus. Did we talk about Duck yet?
No, we didn't.
Remember how, what was it, last year I was trying to convince you that Duck is godlike and that Duck can be a top 10 player, and then he had a horrible 6 months?
He like literally disappeared for the second half of 2017.
And I'm just going to say it. We see another esports. The man got a girlfriend. You're not going to be good at Melee. It's a rule. Blur got a girlfriend. And do you see him casting events anymore? Do I go to stuff anymore? No, it's how it is sometimes. They take up a lot of your time. Females want some attention. It's how it goes sometimes. That's all I'm saying. How is the man going to juggle his work? Because he actually is one of the full-time smashers. The game, being a professional smasher, and a girl, and, do whatever Duck does for fun. He's not going to do it all. So he might just be back on his grind. Duck went to Pat's house and dominated. I know that it was Game 5 against Zane, but it wasn't. It was the least close Game 5 possible. Overall, Duck was pretty dominant, and he looked like the best player in the room, at least that day. So that was Samus.
That's so funny that we call out the drop and play.
Dude, it's almost calculated, right? That's part of making an accurate prediction. You have to know this stuff. If you know their personal lives, you can almost always predict how well they're going to do the next 3 months. It's so related. It's so related. Sometimes it's for a good thing, getting a girlfriend, or maybe they get engaged or they plan a wedding. But they're always going to do worse, almost always around that time, right? And sometimes it's for more bad things. Maybe they're going through some tough times or something happened. But it's good to know for making predictions, really.
Oh, I wonder if this is Duck's first girlfriend, serious relationship. That'd be adorable.
Good guy. I'm happy for him. James Ma, one of my favorite people in the world.
And you see him like streaming stuff with his girlfriend.
I'm like in a spot too where like I'm like with waffling between whether next year I should go to wait. So if you guys are curious, 2015 Blur. I have it's a statistic somewhere, but I'm just gonna estimate it right now because I try to keep track of it. Went to 32 weekends of events, almost all flying. So 2015, 32 weekends. 2016, I went to 34 weekends. This year, Tafo, you're not gonna believe this number. You're not gonna believe this number. I went to 15, basically once a month. And in the last 4 months, I've been almost nothing. So a lot less Blur. And there's like part of me that's like, okay, I'm still gonna be like a little less than before. And there's another part of me that's like, no, I've got to like go back to like the 30 plus number because I think it's important. But I'm like, oh, I'm like a little bit in between, you know, because I'm really enjoying, you know, I'm playing Yakuza now. You know, if you guys ever play Yakuza, that game is it's freaking fire. Playing video games, having a good time. Get to do some of that. But going to events is really important, and it helps like to know stuff, and it's just good for the scene. Like, it's just good for me to be out there, and I think it's good for me it helps me know stuff. So I'm waffling back and forth whether I should do more or less next year. But point is that this year was a little less blur than people are used to, I think.
This year went like a total blur, actually. I can't believe we're in December. Can you believe we're in December?
Yeah, I can't really. They say that years go by faster the older you get, right? But yeah, this was a pretty fast one. 2018 sounds like such a big number. Every time I like book players for flights and I get like their date of births for their flight info, and I see like a 1998, I'm like 1998. Crap, this guy's like under 18. I'm gonna need to do a parental guardian form, or I need to do something else to like book a flight for them.
That's so adorable.
And then I actually do the math in my head. I'm like, oh, that means they're 19. You know, and that's all right. But I see that and I'm like, whoa, ooh, whoa.
It's really adorable. I told you the story of how a person's dad bought Tafo stats, and we've been exchanging emails here and there.
Can you tell people, or you're not going to? 'Cause I think it was the cutest story.
I don't know if he wants people to know. Like, this is the kind of person that I don't think would want people to know.
It's a positive story, but okay.
I mean, it was, Crush.
Yeah, Crush's dad.
Yeah.
So Crush's dad sent you an amazing message. He bought Tafo stats. He's a big fan of his son. Probably the best dad. You know, just a great. Other than I love my dad.
Yeah, but like, in the emails that he sent me, like he knew what he was talking about in regards to Melee.
Everything. He was like, I predict he's gonna be this rank, and I really think he could have won this and that set, and that would have really helped him. But unfortunately, he lost here and there with the edge guards or some shit. Like, I was like, geez, what's going on here? Crusher's dad's a huge fan.
Like, I thought I was getting trolled initially.
I couldn't believe when I read it. You know?
Yeah,
I always thought Crush was some demon spawn. You know, like, this guy has like a wholesome family and stuff. What's going on here? I was buying into the slime memes.
Yeah, me too. That's why I wasn't sure. Like, you know, like when you read this email, you're like, am I getting like elaborately trolled right now?
Yeah, I guess not.
And then, so I did research and I did some snooping around, and I did realize it was legit.
Snooped? How do you snoop that? Do you just go on his Facebook friends and see if it was the right name?
Well, the email he sent it from was a company email.
Oh, and you like LinkedIn him or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like, Like you would have to be trolling me super hard. Like if it was like a New England memer to like somehow like get Crush's dad's like company email and
Yeah, I believe it. I thought it was too wholesome to be not true. You can't be that wholesome on maliciously. It's
yeah.
impossible. It's impossible. So, shout outs to Crush. Shout outs to his family. He's a good guy. I'm really happy for him. He's so good now. He's so good. He's so good now. Good for him.
It's pretty crazy because I wonder how many parents get involved because like when we look at it, like Mango's mom is pretty involved. Like it was pretty adorable. So at like while we were at Royal Flush, their whole family went to Mango's house and they actually watched it on the TV together.
That's sick.
Like his sisters, like relatives, they all watched. I know Mute King's mom like tunes in. I know Hungry Box's mom's involved on Twitter and follows results. So it's like pretty interesting to see like the families like follow their sons and hopefully daughters down the road in watching
Dude,
Melee.
I'd be like if I had a son or a daughter who was like, even if they were terrible at the game, I would. Oh my god, I'd be the number one fan. I'd be going crazy. I'd watch every result. I'd watch every match. That sounds the hypest thing. Your spawn, your DNA,
Your, I love how you say it's your spawn.
like your offspring, literally your blood, winning tournaments. How sick would that be?
It would be really sick.
I, yeah, I'd be the sports dad. I'd be the guy like the soccer dad who like is pushing his kid. I'd be really cruel about it.
Are you gonna be the baseball coach, Little League dad?
Maybe I think one of the coolest people I ever met was I was in Boy Scouts, right? And I had like a group of friends out of it. One of the dads of my Boy Scout troop, he was like the scout leader or whatever. That guy was the sickest, man. Like the way I think like the love and care he showed his sons, and like the amount of work he had to do. Like you know how much work it is to be a scout leader. You have to plan all these trips. You have to like camp with these kids. You have to spend your weekend camping with some random kids, you know? And you have to do so much work. You have to like verify merit badges. You have to organize meetings, like so much stuff. And he did it all just to hang out, spend more time with his sons, and help out the kids and all that. That guy, he's a legend. He's a legend. I'm just gonna say it. Bob Ireland. Shout out to Bob Ireland. Bob Bible thumb. He was so sick. So yeah, I'd do something. My dad did a similar thing. He like I did Taekwondo a lot, and in my high school years, we moved, right? So in my up to my freshman year of high school, I was doing Taekwondo for like 7-8 years, but we moved to like another place that was like 45-50 minutes away from where my gym was at, and I could have set up to a new gym, but I really liked my place, and I was super pissed, mostly because of course I lost my friends. That was in my old high school, but mostly I was just farther away from my Taekwondo place. And then my dad drove me every time. I had hour-long classes, and he would drive 15 minutes there. I'd have my hour-long class. He'd drive me 50 minutes back. And then on the weekends, I'd have like 3-hour classes, like 3-hour periods, and he would drive me 50 minutes there, wait 3 hours, drive me 50 minutes back. And he did that for me, like all throughout high school. So shout out to my own dad.
Aw.
That meant a lot to me. I thought that was like, I guess I didn't appreciate it as much back then. I didn't know how awesome that was. But
Are you gonna call your dad?
my dad's sick. My dad's sick. He's the sickest dad. He's the best dad. So point is, yeah, parents getting into their kids playing Smash Brothers. I think that's super awesome, and it shows how supportive they can be. Shout out to dads. You know what I'm saying?
For the longest time, my mom thought I was gonna get kidnapped by terrorists if I kept going to tournaments.
Oh my god, dude! One of my first tournaments. I think it was like I don't remember. It's the beginning of my Smash career. I tried my hardest to like not have my parents go on the venue, because I kind of knew. But there was getting school 2. Eventually, went on the venue, just checked it out, and it was like in a really rough part of, I think it was Baltimore. And if you watch The Wire, this is early 2000s Baltimore, right? So really bad area. Like the my boy, wife, husband, all that, they're trying to save some money. And they got a venue that was, pretty cheap, but in a pretty bad area. And they were free. I couldn't really go to Smash events. They were like, you can't go here anymore. And I go there, and they see like random people just playing, and they were just like, what's going on here? The guy who's organizing the tournament is like 18. Right? Like, this is not official. This is not real. How is this a real thing? But little do they know, that guy was the homie wife, and you can put your trust in him, and I was fine.
Did he have to talk to your dad?
I don't remember. Probably, honestly.
Well, you're very lucky. Wife is very articulate.
Yeah.
I remember.
He was a very different person back then, though. You got to keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's true. We had to. Alex Strife had to send PPU's parents a permission slip letter to get Kevin to go to Apex the first year.
Yeah, I've done that before too. I've done that many times. That's like a common thing I've done. Whenever there's like an underage smasher. Now like there's more formal process. Thankfully, because I'm at Twitch, I've learned a lot of like the things you're quote unquote supposed to do. But you have to get like release forms. You have to get like for payouts. You got to do a lot of special things. And often like for school, especially for like guys in college, like you have to like email their professor and all that. Like that's a thing I have to do all the time. One of the funnest ones is emailing like immigration or emailing and being someone's sponsor. Like when they say, I verify that this guy is legit and he's going to do this activity and I'm his sponsor, corporate sponsor, or whatever, and it helps them get either visas or get them in the country. Or, like a lot of different things is the point. But for sure, even in the early days, we had to do a lot of those sort of letters just to help people. Young kids have it rough. A lot of esports don't let young people compete. I think Overwatch, one of the best players in the world is isn't he under 18? That guy who was like amazing at Overwatch World Cup, Flower or something. I don't really follow that well. And he's not playing Overwatch League just because he's too young. Most esports just make it simple for themselves and say there's an age limit, because it's pretty tough to legally do super young people. Got to jump through a lot of hoops, basically.
How many like school like things did you have to do, like to release people from class?
I don't know if this is within the statute of limitations. It is, whatever. I'm just gonna say the story. So, an old school Smash tournament in NDVA that I hosted was in my house. It was called Smash House. This is before Big House. This is a long time ago. I don't remember what year, but a very long time ago. And it was a week-long tournament because my parents were on a week-long vacation. It was basically a party. And I never told them I was doing this thing. I'll be honest. They still don't know to this day that I did it. And it was just held in my basement, this big-ass basement that I had in my house in Virginia. And I think we had like 40, 50 people come, which was really good back then. And there's a lot of people who just came for the whole week and just stayed the whole week in my house. Like they were literally just.
Oh, I know who. Okay, keep going. I know.
They just crashed in my place for the course of the week, and it was chill. Everyone had fun. We just played Melee, and then on the weekend of the tournament, there was the actual tournament, right? Like we had like small little tournaments. We had a bunch of friendlies and stuff for the week leading up to it. But on the actual weekend, we did this like Swiss thing, which was the first time I did Swiss. This was when I was like a young TO, a noob TO. And I did Swiss wrong. Swiss is really hard to do when you don't have like a software for it. And TO, which is what we used back then, didn't have Swiss implementation.
Yeah.
So I had to do it with little postcard papers, and I did it wrong. And I didn't realize it until like halfway in, and I was like, crap. So I gave people little index cards which showed their score, but I matched some of them up wrong, and then that messed up everything, right? Because I didn't have a software thing, and I was also like really young, so I didn't know what I was doing. Regardless, people were cool about it because this is back in the day and it wasn't a big deal. It's also local.
Imagine if like Leffen was at that tournament or 2017 Leffen.
Oh my god, dude, I got railed. But anyway, the weekends tournament still considered to this day one of the best MVVA tournaments of all time. I think it was dope. It was a little annoying because, you know, people were being bad about. They were just like raiding my fridge, and pretty much everything in my fridge had to go got gutted, and I was really worried my parents would notice some things. I had to rebuy stuff to make it look like what was in there before, and then they kept on going to the backyard and smoking weed. And I was like, my neighbors are gonna see. I don't want my neighbors to. It already looks suspicious that I got a million cars out on the driveway. I'm trying to tell people to park somewhere else so it doesn't look bad. You know, I don't want my neighbors to call my parents. And they kept doing that. And I'm like, guys, stop that, please. Neighbors, it's gonna cause trouble, right? So I had to deal with that. This is a young blur. I never really saw or got exposed to weed at the time. So I was just like, guys, this is bad. Please. They didn't listen to me. These are older people too. Shame on you guys. Like freaking 14-year-old blur had to like lay out the line, lay down the law. I wasn't that young at the time. I don't remember how long ago this was. Like I want to say I was like 16, 17, something like that. It was a while ago. So young blur had to lay down the law and like, guys, if you don't stop, I'm gonna kick you out, and all that crap at that. But weekend did. In classic MTVA fashion, it was like chewing, chilling. Ended up, I want to say they ended up splitting, and they ended up purposely sending, I believe it was Chew to losers, so he can beat Taupe, so that they can both get first and second. If you guys don't know, this is back in the era where that was a thing. Chillin' can't beat Chew, can't beat Taupe. So the best thing that H2YL could do to get both of them be first and second is to purposely send Chew to losers, so that Chew can beat Taupe, because Chew like had never lost a Taupe in his career. So classic collusion. Young blur again didn't know how to deal with that. And then they split grand finals. So tournament, what a fantastic tournament. What a great conclusion. That happened. And people were slowly falling out. Even the people who were there for a whole week. Now, some of them didn't take showers. They had an available shower, but they didn't. But you know, it was getting near the end. I was playing friendlies with this guy. I was like, "Hey, man, so, you know, my parents are gonna come back eventually. You know, I gotta." And people help me clean up the place a little bit, but I gotta clean up his place. And you know, you kind of gotta skedaddle. You gotta skedaddle. And I'm gonna say who it is. It's my homie, Bone Zero. He's formerly known as one of the top players of Metro Prime Hunters. One of the dopest Falcons, one of the nicest guys, one of my big friends. He told me, please correct me if I got the story wrong, Bones, because it's been a while. He was like, hey, Blur, I can't. And I was like, what do you mean you can't leave? I need you to leave. You've been here for a week. I can't. I didn't tell my parents I'm coming here. I'm like, wait, hold on. What do you mean? Like, you didn't tell your parents you're coming here. Where do they think you are? You know, what's that supposed to mean? They just think you're somewhere else, and you just happen to be at a Smash tournament or something. And he was like, no, I think they just don't know where I am. And I've been at your house for a week playing Smash, and I didn't want to tell them that I could like go and play Smash for a week. So I really wanted to play Smash, and you just, you know, this is a great way to do that. And I just look at it, I was like, so you're telling me your parents like are worried you're dead? They might have been on a missing persons report, and here you are in my house telling me you can't leave. Needless to say, kicked him out. He went back to his place, and he couldn't play Smash again for a very, very long time. For a very, very, very long time. So, I guess his parents forgave him because he was able to go back to Smash eventually. I really hope Bo's correct. I hope I said the story the right way. But yeah, that happened. And some people say it was worth. He got a solid like 7, 8, 9 days of Smash under his belt. I don't know if his parents like. I would have thought we'd had like police at my door trying to find him eventually, but I guess they did it. I don't know. but he got away with it.
He did.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, that's. Well, I have a follow-up question to that.
Yeah.
Did your parents find out?
No, they still don't know. I'm the Crimson Blur, Tafo.
What if they like knew but just didn't want to deal with it?
I don't think so. That's not my parents' style. No. They deal with it. They would kill me. They definitely would deal with it. They still don't know, and they will never know. Chat, I know there's like 200 of you in here. If you grind me out and send a message to my parents, I'll never forgive you. We're 200 strong, confidential sources. No one's gonna rat the blur out.
Well, what would they do at this point?
They'll never know.
What would they do at this
Probably
point?
laugh. I think. I mean, whatever. It's not a big deal. But I mean, I did a great cover up. Like I said, I replaced the food in the fridge, which everyone destroyed. People, do you understand? People, we had loaves of bread. I think we had like 4 straight up loaves of bread, right? And we long ran out of peanut butter for those loaves of bread. And you know what people did? Instead of going out and getting food, they just ate the loaves of bread. I had no other food left, and all we had, like at a certain point, everyone raided the fridge, and they just ate the loaves of bread for days, just so they can play Smash more, so they don't have to go out to get and spend money to get food. They just were like, you know what? Water, bread, this is calories. I can sustain off this. Let's go. And then all 4 loaves got finished. All 4 loaves.
Wait, you guys didn't like go like. None of the guys went to like fast food or like a grocery store.
Some of them did. Some of them were like, I got these loaves, baby. We're good. This is great. So, yeah. I mean, Smash will make anything work. When people tell me Smash is going to die, when people tell me Smash isn't going to work, I remember these moments. I'm like, no, we're too crazy. We are too crazy. We will do that to play Smash. We'll be all right.
Man. Let me think. No, I only ran like a house party once when my parents were gone the weekend. And it was actually pretty tame. We mostly played poker and video games.
Tafo did a house party?
Yeah. It was like 25 people.
What?
Yeah.
Tafo, your parents find out?
No, I told them. I said I'm going to have friends over.
Oh, that's not Tafo. It's not the same thing. You told them and they said yes? Okay. Maybe we're different here. But I couldn't have told them that they would have said yes. They would have said no. My parents would have said no. So, yeah. I guess different breeds here.
I was actually surprised they said yes.
Yeah.
But what were they going to do? They were in LA that weekend, and I was.
So you're telling me you could have just run Smash tournaments out of your house if you wanted to?
I could have. I could have run Smash tournaments that weekend.
People don't understand the level of grit and grind. You know, we did sometimes. Like, so I don't know, Tafel, you weren't really active during this time, but like when Oxy was starting, we ran our Smash Fest out of Team Oxy is called Team Oxy because of Occidental College.
Oh, I was in Norcal. I was in Norcal that stretch.
Yeah, so our tournaments really sucked, but Dendy, the homie, he was at Occidental College, and at first, me and Sung, who are friends with Dendy, we just went over there and played Smash sometimes with him just to chill, which is fine. Just going to another dude's dorm and playing Smash to just to practice and stuff, just to hang out. That's no big deal. The thing is, we started inviting a ton of people, right? Like, hey, you should come along too. And they had this like big open area, like what are they called? Where you have a bunch of rooms and then there's like this open space. A lot of dorm rooms are made like this. Common areas. You had a big, huge common area. And so we just kept inviting more people, and they eventually became a big game called Oxy Smash Fest, named after Occidental College. And they started getting like, first they were getting like 5 people, 7 people, 10 people, 15 people, 20 people, 30 people, 40 people in this common area, right? And whenever anyone would come by from the school or anything, we all pretended like we were students, right? When in fact, Denny was the only one who was a student there, and we basically fronted as the Occidental College Gaming and Smash Club. And so whenever someone passed by, we were like, "Yeah, this is the Smash Club. No big deal, gaming club. We just come here on those days," and everyone got used to it. Everyone was just like, "Oh yeah, the Smash Club comes here every week," and we're all like around that age, so everyone totally thought we were like the Smash Club, right? Now, here's where it eventually ended, if you're curious. So we actually ran a few tournaments out of there too, right? Because at the time we were only getting max like Smash wasn't big enough that we were going to get 100 plus people. So getting like 30 people for a tournament was amazing. 40 people for a tournament. It's crazy we were getting 40 plus people Smash Fest at the time. We were like blown away. Those were bigger than our tournaments. Like at the time, Festizio's was only getting 17 people, and yet these Smash Fests at Occidental College were getting 40 people. So we ran a few tournaments. There were like the purple tournaments that Oxy ran there, and we ran a couple tournaments out of the venue and all that. And then one Friday, because we ran it every Friday we had the Smash Fest. That was really big. It was like the biggest thing in Socal at the time. The one Friday, our boy, one of our guys, Harach, the homie, Peach player, great guy, got cocky, and he like went to the back, like a little balcony area, and actually he was actually indoors, and he started smoking hookah. As a Middle Eastern man, I can accept that. I can appreciate that. Trouble is, you don't smoke hookah in a college dorm room, and none of us noticed. I think like me, Sung, Dendy were somewhere else, or maybe we did notice and we just didn't care, or we were cocky too because we've been doing this for like over a year at that point. And then one of the RAs noticed, it was like, "Hey, you can't do that, blah, blah, blah." And she wanted to write up this kid who she thought was a student. And trouble was, Harach isn't a student. And then they figured that out. They're like, "Wait a second, he's not a student. Well, who's the head of the club?" And we're all like, "Uh-oh, it's not actually a club." And they're like, "Well, someone's got to take responsibility for this. Whose guest is this?" And we're like, "Well, we're actually not, none of us are students." And they're like, hold up. You're telling me there's 40 people here, and none of you are students?" And we were just like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Okay, I'm going to call the campus, all that." And you know what we did right then? We all said, and we just ran. We took our cubes, we unplugged, and got the fuck out. Never came back again. We had a few CRTs laying there. I know some people took some on the way out. Bless you, CRTs, if you never made it out. And we eventually went on recon missions super stealthily to take like one or two that I think were left there because we wanted to make sure we got them all. We're not leaving the CRT behind. But yeah, we couldn't use it anymore. We just dipped out. No one ever caught us. I don't even know if campus security ever figured out what really happened. But we got the hell out, and my boy Harach got away with it. He got to smoke his hookah, but we lost a precious spot. And I mean, stopped playing after that. So I'm worried if you felt too embarrassed because everyone was like, "Dude, you're the one who's cost us this." But it was how we ran stuff at back then. Like we did stuff out of basements, and we didn't have enough. You guys understand? You can only bring in 20, 30, 40 entrants. There's no way you can cover venue costs. There's actually factually no way to do that, right? So you have to do these tactics. There's no way. Right? There's just no way. And let me tell you, TOs of the world, if you ever want to be profitable, you can still do those things technically. It's still possible. You just have to, do a horrible tournament experience.
Have you ever watched The Sandlot?
No, I don't know.
Wait, what year were you born?
I was born in 1990.
Okay, that's semi-forgivable. How did you not watch The Sandlot? Oh, God, there's now this reference. So, Sandlot, group of boys play baseball. They hit a home run. They can't get their ball because it's in a yard with a dog that's like supposedly very mean. The kid naively uses a ball signed by Babe Ruth, and they hit a home run with it. And then they have to like get the ball back by like any means necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And like this is one of the Acme Wile E. Coyote contraptions they did to like try to get the ball.
That's great. That's what it was like back then. We did anything in our power to make it happen. We were we were the cockroaches. We just figured out ways. We found ways to play Smash Brothers.
What would kill us if we're cockroaches? Our cockiness and ego?
I mean, nothing's ever gonna. I don't think we're gonna die. Obviously, we're never gonna die. We might decline. We might become smaller. Hey, one day we might even be back at that size. You never know. You never take anything for granted. But I want to believe that this new generation has the same blood flowing through their veins that I do, that you do, and they'll make it work.
No, they're soft.
Even you think they're soft? They might be soft. They might just be soft. Chat, if you're new gen, are you soft? Press 1.
They're not
Would
gonna
you do all the things I say? Huh? You're not gonna tell the truth?
They're not gonna tell the truth, man.
Abdi says, nah, League of Legends didn't exist back then. He might be right. They could just be like, I'm not gonna play Smash. I'm just gonna play League. If you're of that group, if you're in that ilk, just stop playing now. Save us the trouble. Save us the trouble. Get out now. Just stop. So maybe there's some soft people, but there's a percentage of those people who are the fiends. And if you're a fiend, you'll do anything for that hit. So.
Net plays made him soft.
Well, net play makes people soft, man.
Do you know?
Do that.
Crimson? Back in my day, I would have to drive an hour in traffic to play with people for 2 hours in a night.
So I went to school in Charlottesville, and I was, believe it or not, chat, I was arguably the best player there in UVA, along with some of my homies. Juan was also really good, and this guy named Giant Timmy was dope. This was my college days. So to get better competition, to get better, I had to drive to Richmond to hang out with Taupe, Siren, Savage, Polecat, great guys. We hung out and everything. We played. We watched, just hung. It was great. It was some of the best Smash Fest and memories ever. But to do that, I had to drive I want to say an hour and a half, 2 hours every time, and then I never crashed. Sometimes maybe I crashed there. I had to drive 2 hours back. That's not that much. I've done way longer drives than that. But I did that every week minimum. So I mean, we got it done. I have some nightmare stories in terms of travel. Oh my God, Greyhounds, when I couldn't afford stuff, I had my car break down around my college time, and I still want to go to tournaments. So I decided to just Greyhound everywhere. And then I was at a Greyhound stop. This is before, I want to say it's before smartphones and GPS were really popular.
We had to use a freaking MapQuest.
And we got dropped off at this Greyhound stop, and then the next Greyhound never came. We were supposed to connect to another Greyhound. So it was me and this bunch of people who were outside. We got dropped off outside. There's not a Greyhound station for us to go inside of. And we just got dropped off, babies crying and everything. And we didn't have anywhere to go. We were just stuck. And the next one never came. And eventually, a one after that came, but it was hours and hours later. I want to say 3, 4, 5 hours, and it was cold. And eventually I was trying to go to North Carolina for Herb. Which interestingly enough is the first time, I want to say it's the first time I worked with Gimmer, because I helped set up a stream that tournament. That was one of his first streams. That and the Pound, which
BG Bootcamp Maggot.
I don't remember which.
Pound
I don't remember
4.
which one was. Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah, Pound 4 was after that, I think. And we actually played Game & Watch versus Marth, because he was a Game & Watch main back then. Friendlies before everything started. I think this is PPH Box finals. If you guys remember the Herb series. And yeah, I traveled all that way, and instead of entering and playing, I think I just slept. because I was so exhausted after the colossal trip that I just like actually slept in a corner of the room instead of doing anything. So I ended up doing all of that, and I just passed out instead of actually playing in the tournament, doing anything, and then I had to do another colossal trip on the way back. So that was a grind, man.
How about the one story of you and Gamer at Kings of Cali 4?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the time he almost died.
Yeah.
He almost died. Yeah, there's that. That was, TOs don't do this. I had a lot of pressure on me at the time. If you guys remember the story of Kings of Cali 4, Kings of Cali 4, that tournament, basically, we were gonna host it. It was gonna be great. We talked to the venue. It was the same venue. We were gonna do the same venue as the first 3 Kings of Calis. We were just all set. We were good. And then we talked to the venue, and we were like, we were at the venue doing another planning meeting, and they were like, hey, we're going to hit you with like a revised quote. And like, what are you talking about? Like, we already like are good, right? Like, we just charge us what you charge every other time. And, we already agreed to all this stuff. And this was like 2 weeks before the event. And they hit us, and they were like, tripling the price. They already knew we announced. They already knew we had registration. This is before Smash EG. I coded the custom registration myself. Actually, I think I implemented it. There's someone else. I want to say it was the CNOT. Like someone made an initial registration for that big house in Kings of Cali used, and we used it off each other. We used the same thing, just like a PayPal vendor link. And he knew we already took money in, and like we can't really like cancel on that. So like, maybe we'd refund everyone. We were like, what do we do? This guy's just trying to screw us. That's totally effed up. So eventually we announced that we're gonna cancel. We're gonna refund everyone, and like people had already bought their flights. We were like super worried. We're like, man, we're gonna have to cancel this thing. And then my homie, Raffle, you guys know who Raffle is? He's one of the greatest human beings in Smash Brothers. He contacted American, who was his roommate, and Red Bull. And this is the first time Red Bull ever came in the scene. And of course, you guys have seen all the amazing stuff they did ever since then. And they're based on Socal. They heard the story. They were like, wow, that's effed up. And they hooked me up with a new venue, a Dave & Buster's. Actually, it was super sick. And we were able to put the event back on.
And we got the salty suite too.
And we got the salty suite too. And we got a salty suite, everything. They basically just super hooked us up, and this was like their first time coming to the scene, literally off Raffle just connecting us with them. Just super nice guys. To this day, some of my best friends. Enormously grateful for everything that they did for that event. I was really worried, like that about how it was turning out. It was a really bad spot. Rob Simpson and Ben Nickel, if you guys know them, Mr. Bitter and Rob Simpson. If you guys know that they used to be old StarCraft casters. You guys know how much I love StarCraft. It just goes to show good games stick together, if you know what I'm saying. So they hooked us up, and the trouble was like I was like super worn thin for KOC because like first of all we had to like replan a whole event in a new venue, right? And it was a time where I don't think I was experienced as I am now. Like for me at this point, me planning an event with like 3 days notice is like what I do for a living, right? Like it's not hard. Like Blood for Blood we announced like 2 weeks ago, and making that happen is all right. We can make it happen, right? But that's because like the network increased. I have powers at Twitch. I have a lot more resources. Back then, less so. And so I had to do all that, and my staff was tired. Everyone was tired. Plus, this was the Smash Vault era. So if you guys remember, we did this big initiative where we collected CRTs, collected systems, collected games, and we made this big vault. And my job was to transport in a U-Haul along with Dendi, Sung, all my Oxy homies, all the Smash Vault with a U-Haul to KOC, set up the venue. From KOC, we had to go to MLG Anaheim and set up that venue and bring it there and move all the CRTs back in the truck, go again. From LG Anaheim, if I'm getting my timeline correctly, we had to go to Evo. So basically, in those early years, like there was no gaming generations. There was no way to get a massive amount of CRTs, and I mean, still to this day, the Smash Vault's used, as you guys all know. Genesis uses it. A lot of events use it. So that thing is still working, and there's a bunch of vaults now around the country. But point is I had to simultaneously coordinate, the equipment and setup and logistics efforts of the three biggest events of the summer, while hosting the event with like a week to go, and so I was like super tired and dead. And so one of the days, as Taff was mentioning, on my way home, because I think I was housing Gimmer or something, I like fell asleep while driving, and I just stopped at a stoplight, and I was just like asleep. And he was asleep too, because he was like dead tired too. And we were just like, I guess I just kept, because we were in a hill, I kept my foot on the brake, and thankfully I just kept my foot on the brake, and never let go while asleep. I was like a god while asleep. And someone, I think, knocked on our windowsill and was like, yo, what are you doing? You've been at the stoplight for like 20 whatever minutes, like forever. I don't know how long we were there. And we went on our way. But then Gimmer woke up, because Gimmer woke up from the guy tapping. I was still asleep. And he was like freaking out. He was like, what just happened? We could have died. But, I had it under control the whole time. So, yeah.
So ridiculous. That was like the year you were caught for sleeping randomly.
Yeah, the SCR sleeping when we hosted SCR. So, yeah, man. A lot of cool stuff, a lot of crazy stuff has happened over the years to make things work. But, no, it's good. It's good. It's good. We gotta make it work. We gotta make it work.
Any other things that we're thinking about for the year? Who's your most improved?
Ooh, a little Smash Award show. They had Game Awards. You should do something. Most improved.
I'll give you some names. Crush
Army?
Zane, Crush Zane, Army, Ginger, Laud.
The answer's Army. He went from unranked to probably being top 50, right?
Ginger too.
He was unranked?
Yeah.
It's probably Ginger or Army. You could argue Chew, just because he went from like 30 to like 10 or 11. That's a pretty big jump, right? It's arguably harder than going from non-ranked to top 50.
Yeah.
But Junebug is a good choice, guys. That's a good one. Yeah. I'd go with Army, though, I think. I want to say Army. What was, Taffa, what was your event of the year? Taffa?
I'm thinking.
Oh, you're taking your time. Event of the year.
I don't think anything really stood out to me. And maybe that's because, like I've been to so many that they just kind of blended. I mean, in terms of experience and like everything that happened, it would probably be Royal Flush. Like, was in a casino. Like, they were pretty hospitable. We took a limo ride back to the airport after. Like, I just think the whole and we won. So, I'm gonna have to go with Royal Flush.
I wasn't at Royal Flush, unfortunately. But I hear it was dope. Let's see. Man of the year for me, jeez. That's a toughie. I guess the ones I went to, Genesis was the best. I thought Genesis was a little worse than the year before, but it was probably Genesis. That's my guess. I want to say maybe I missed one. That's my current guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, who's our predictors for next year? Like, who do we think is gonna make like a big jump?
Who do you think is gonna be the best next year? Say that.
Hmm. I always think Armada tends to bounce back from these kind of mini slumps. I think he'll figure it out. Um,
I genuinely wouldn't be surprised if it's. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Leffen or Plup. Honestly, I wouldn't be super surprised.
they haven't passed the let's be consistent for longer than a tournament factor for me. Like consistent in the sense of like making grand finals.
Yeah, yeah. I think they can see it lower every time.
Yeah.
I just feel like Leffen is finally getting back a little bit into form. Um, like I don't, other than the Gommel aberration, I feel like he still isn't as good as he was relatively to like his one summer. You know, when his relative rank was the highest. But it feels like, based on watching his gameplay, he's getting close to that again, finally. And then Plup, I think he's beating Armand's a big deal. And I don't understand how he's going to beat H-Box. I don't really have a lot of faith in his Fox to be able to do it, frankly. But
Yeah, I don't either.
yeah, but it's doable for him to be best by next year. It's likely if either of them become best, it's likely going to happen later in the year because it's going to take them some time to build up there. So I mean, the odds-on money is on HBox or Armada again.
Yeah.
But I think a risky man.
It's funny because although like I think it's I'm not doing a ballot this year, but I would say that Mew King is, if I were doing one, Mew King would be higher than Leffen and Plup. But in terms of potential for number one, I think Plup. It's kind of weird to say, but I think you get where I'm coming from. That Plup and Leffen have a higher chance at getting number one than Mew King.
Yeah.
But I think Mew King, like overall, if you run most scenarios, I think on average, like you can bank on Mew King being top 4, top 5.
Yeah, maybe we've given up on it. Maybe that's unfair. But for the most part, seeing Mitchell be number one again, it's hard to imagine that happens again in his career.
Like he wins his one, like he does his one full tournament where he like does well. Like last year was UGC, which is kind of crazy. That's over a year. It's like a year ago now. This year it was Canada Cup, but like for like every like one good tournament, we have like a Smash Summit type of.
One thing we'll say is that this year, near the end of the year, is the first time he's like in a while where he's been super focused on one game, Melee fully. Like if you remember last year, he was playing Smash 4 and Melee, right? 2016, and he's pretty much given up Smash 4. Like he doesn't really play it at all anymore.
I mean, he's getting kind of bopped now.
He's getting bopped and he doesn't play very much and doesn't enter it almost ever. So, if there's anything to say is that he's now fully focused on Melee, and that could be really powerful.
It could, I'm not gonna say it's impossible for Mew King to like get number one, but like it's just kind of like he gets his one decent event. If there's any consolation, like his record against Hungrybox was actually pretty decent this year at 7-10. Like that's like the best he's done since like in like 5 years.
7-10 is amazing. It's a little shocking too because we're at like peak HBox right now.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of shocking. Like, this is the best period of HBox's career, right? Me and Hugs were talking about. I was on some chat and I was talking about this. HBox, all time. Where is he now? We used to have him ranked as 5th before this year.
Fourth being Jason.
4th Jason, 3rd Ken, 2 Mango.
This is something we actually talk about a lot in the Melee Stats Discord. I think we've come to a consensus that Hungrybox is ahead of Mew King.
I think like with this new period of dominance, I think it's hard to argue HBox isn't ahead of Mew King, and you can start arguing him and Ken. I think maybe I kind of have him above Ken right now. I know that sounds absurd, but
Yeah, I mean,
I think I have him.
we have this debate a lot. We've been debating Ken and Hungry Box back and forth. So it's not like it's not like this is the first time I've heard that or that. It's Ken isn't. Let me how to put this. Ken is Ken is in discussion. Is basically what we've had for like a good while now.
People are saying Ken is 5. No, Mewtwo is still not higher than Ken. I don't think he did anything this year that like would push him
Yeah,
above Ken.
I think once you get to like that coveted like top 3, top 4, you have to have dominance, and it
You have
can't
to be best. You have to be best. Like you have to have a period of being the best.
and it can't just be like parts of a year.
Yeah. No, I do think if Mewtwo continues his longevity, it's going to help him. You know, and it'll help his argument. Like this, having another year where he's top 5 is a huge deal.
Yeah, but I don't think you crack. You don't. I mean, when we're talking about lifetime legacy, like if you're just top 5, like I don't think you can crack the championship rings that like Ken has. Like you have to start winning.
Yeah. So I think you can make a solid argument for HBox third now, which is nuts. And he's still a good ways away from Mango. Again, you could argue Ken's still third, but he's still a good ways away from Mango. But like another year of this, and he's definitely knocking on the door.
How long before the discussions with Mango?
Probably a year, maybe a year and a half.
But then like he'd have to like dominate.
Mango's not gonna be a complete scrub during that time either.
Yeah.
Right. So you gotta keep that in mind. But yeah, he'd have to have like a dominant year and a half to really catch up. You guys gotta remember that Mango was like had a really long run of being the best. Now a lot of that time he like sandbagged and like he was kind of not really the best. We just called him the best. It's mostly his like 2014, 2013 era that like carries him a bit. But and like 09 obviously, excuse me, 08 obviously, a portion too. But another solid year of HBox and start talking.
So I got an interesting debate. Who do you put in for number 10 this year?
I think it was Chew, right? Yeah, Chew. Chew 10, 11 is SG, right? I want to see if I got my memory right.
I don't know. Well, I'm wondering what your interpretation is.
It's Axe, SFAT, Wizzy, Chew, SG.
Is Wizzy higher than SFAT now?
The next one after that is Drug Fox, I want to say. Wizzy might be higher than SFAT.
After last weekend, he has a win against Leffen, and SFAT kind of floundered.
He might be higher. It's really, really close. Which, by the way, would be the highest a Falcon's ever been rated since Hacks. Wizzy is making it known for the Falcons. I feel like people don't. I know people are talking about the return of Falcon a little bit, and I'm pushing the storyline a lot, but people aren't freaking out about it enough, right? So many years we said Falcon couldn't do it. Now we got this Falcon that's literally doing it.
I think it's because when you're within the scene, like it's like losing weight very slowly, right? Like you lose like half a pound here, and you're like, oh, I guess I lost 25 pounds. But like if you transported somebody from looking at you and then looking at you 2 years later after you dropped like 40 pounds, and you notice. But I think it just happens so gradually that people aren't talking about it.
That's how Melee is. That's the thing, though, right? Like, you like gradually get better. It's never overnight. You're not just gonna overnight like become the best player in the world. You always go from rank 10 to 9 to 8 to 7. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen like that in Melee.
And if
It's too hard a game to do it overnight.
if that doesn't happen, then it's like a total anomaly.
So people are saying, what do I define doing it? That's what Abdi said. I define it as the matchups they're primarily getting stuck with, like Marth and Peach, we know aren't Falcons' problems matchups. At least I want to believe. Maybe Marth is, but like not the current Marth. Like, come on, be serious.
The Moon has a pretty good record on all the Marths right now.
All the Falcons, right?
All the Falcons.
Yeah, I agree. And that's the ones that the Falcons are struggling with. They're struggling with the historically favored matchups. They kind of like lost their attention on those, and while they were focusing on Sheik, Falco, and Fox. And like they're doing great against the Foxes. They're doing fantastic against the Sheiks. And there's only like one Falco, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So,
I think Mango might be the toughest people for Falcon.
Yeah, because they don't get to play against Falcos. And by the way, they're beating West sometimes. So, like, they don't get to play against top level Falco that often because there's so few of them. And, they're focused on some of the matches. If they get a handle on Martha and Peach and that sort of things, and someone other than Wizzy like SJ like improves his puff matchup, winning tournaments and being best in the world is not out of the grasp for Falcon, not even close. You have a top 10 player, that's never true, right? So that's pretty hype. That's super hype. Two players arguably in the top 10. That's amazing, right? What other character has that? Fox, that's it, right?
Yeah. What do you?
That's nuts.
Yeah, you have like 1.5 Sheiks.
You have 1.5 Sheiks. And Fox, you kind of like have Leffen, and then like you say a quarter of an Armada, and
A third of Mango.
A third, it's probably a third of Mango.
But then you also have Zach.
I think it was 2/3 Falco. You also have Zach, so you have Zach, so 2 plus a third plus a quarter, so like 2.7 ish with 7.5, depending on how you split it up. So Falcons at 2. Not bad. People are saying Pluff Fox. Dude, that doesn't even count. Pluff Fox doesn't get like notable wins unless you really think he's going to do great against H-Box based on some of the local results.
Like DreamHack Atlanta,
a while
maybe.
back.
In fact, Plups like Fox is probably the reason why like he's not ranked higher this year.
Yeah, you can't count. If you're going to count him, that's 1%. Come on.
I mean, the losses to like Dewan and stuff.
Yeah.
It looks like Johnny reset the bracket and won.
Against who? Lucky?
Yeah.
Good for him. Good for him.
Come on, Johnny. You can't be taking Lucky's money. He's not even sponsored.
So yeah, it's a crazy year. Like, I mean, I think you got to be happy about the rankings and how things like the balance of power shifted.
You know what's really funny though? As a top player, you do not want the 7th through 10th seed.
You don't want the 7 through 10 seed?
I mean,
oh yeah, because
you get stuck with H-Box and Armada in like winners quarters.
Yeah, you'd rather have a worse seed.
Yeah.
That's why I say tiered seeding, baby.
Yeah. Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, hey, hey.
Although they get a much more difficult winners round of 16 though.
Yeah. Yeah.
As long as Johnny doesn't get paired with Axe, that'd be like the best. What's funny though is Wizzy gets screwed over if he's like the 8th, 9th seed. He needs to jump to the 7th seed because he'd get stuck with Axe.
We should stop talking like this. This is terrible. Tier seeding. God, like this isn't. It's infuriating. To listen to you talk like that. It's just so bad.
It's infuriating because people want like exact seeding. Like whenever like Leffen or people complain about like seeding, it's like that's like not exact according to skill. Like you get issues like this.
Yeah. You got to tier seeding.
I think tiered seeding's well. I mean, I've always been in favor of tiered seeding. I'm just pointing out how ridiculous non-tiered like going strict skill.
It's absurd. It's absurd. Yeah. So good year. You want to do questions?
Sure.
Let's do questions. We haven't done questions.
All right, and then I'll cap it at midnight because I gotta do stuff.
All right. So we got 30 more minutes.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, you guys can do it, and then I'm gonna get some water and go pee real fast.
All right. So, guys, send in your questions. I'll read chat and answer and talk for a bit while you guys send in questions. If you guys don't know, it's ask.fm/Africans. I'll put it in the chat. Hopefully that link works. Put in your questions now, and we answer through there, not through the chat. Right now, I'll talk to you guys, but you know, put questions in there, and we'll talk about the subject and all that. What do we think about Captain Jack coming back to Melee? He's a legend. That's kind of cool, right? Good for him. I hope he has realistic goals. It's really hard in this era, but good for him, man. He's got a wife, you know, they live in Europe. Maybe he can make something happen. SSBM TGI says, what do you guys think about Shizner's return? Wasn't there something about him being a safety threat to the community? Yeah, I mean, he is an ex-con, but you have to argue it. Maybe he's rehabilitated. Hard to say. All of these things are usually extremely tricky to deal with. But his stream's popping off, and you know his Falco's sick. He's like the only Falco in the world who knows how to laser. So good for him. So we'll see. He says he wants to be the best by next year. Are you talking about Captain Jack? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Realistic goals. Jack, it's hard. It's hard out here. What is tiered seating? Tiered seating is like you take skill groups. Like let's say you say number 7 through 10, like Axe, that's fat, etc. They're in one tier, and you can that tier gets randomized from tournament to tournament, and they do that for all tiers, so that people don't have the same bracket every time. It's basically so obviously the standard. It should be the standard, but people don't do it. Should Smash players unionize? Smash players can't like. They can. Have you guys seen my hair? I haven't got a haircut in forever. I haven't shaved. We can barely keep ourselves together.
Dude, they barely can fill out a W-9.
I'm trying to get people to respond to emails to book their flights. Come on. Be realistic. Who are you talking about? Unionize. Hey Blair, you're looking nice today. Thank you so much, Vianney. Lost a little weight, you know, on the grind. Been doing low carb. Looking good. Looking good. All right, Taff, hit me with the questions. They probably put in a bunch in now. Focus.
I'm not getting the notifications.
Has no one put in a question? That's impossible. What are you asking, fam? If no one's put in a question, I mean, I guess they have nothing to say to us. That's
All right. Okay. We have a handful. Not that many. We have 4.
Ooh, wow. People, put in your questions.
Is PPMD leaving the biggest factor of the rise of HBox and Armada?
No.
All right.
I think the biggest factor is them getting better. I mean, you got to give them credit where credit's due. It's hard to assume that PP would just be beating them. They're really, really good right now. Extremely good right now.
Yeah, I think you have to give credit. Like, they're not just people that you can just go like, oh, like, I'm gonna win. How do you feel about the evolution of commentary and where it's heading in esports or in Melee? More esports ? Less esports ?
I think commentary this year has gotten worse and worse with time, and for the most part, everyone's phoning it in and doing a worse job than they had previously. At the moment, I've been advocating for new talent to get our spots because I can tell we're all doing bad jobs and not living up to our potential.
Scar did a good job at Summit.
Did he?
I think so.
Better than some of his other year, I guess. But he definitely kept things on track more than some of the other casters.
It was definitely better than Summit 4.
Summit 4, he was horrible. Toph is really bad there too. But you know, and I say I love these guys because I think those guys. I've said for a long time. I think Scar's peak. He's at his peak. He's the best commentator of all time. He has the highest potential ceiling of any caster, in my opinion. I think I have the second highest potential ceiling, but I think right now my average is like, it's not up to my own standards. I don't think it's
You haven't been to tournaments.
yeah, but like even if I could, I know, you know, it's how good I am at a time. I like rank myself as maybe like the seventh or eighth best caster right now. I don't think I'm that hot right now, but I think, you know, there's times last year I'd say I was the best. So it really depends. It's casting. You have to have a form. You have to practice it. You have to like pay attention to results. You have to be super into the scene. You have to be passionate about it. You have to be in a good mood. You have to be healthy. You have to
Can people
you
give
have to
me the
practice it.
same commentator for 2 tournaments in a row for once?
No, because like all of us have stopped, right? Like Bobby's going to less events. I'm going to less events.
I haven't. I never get the same commentator twice.
D1's doing less. Um, Toph is doing way less too.
Is it? What is he up to? I know he quit Twitch.
He quit Twitch. He's just chilling, you know, having a good time. Hanging out with his girl, doing his thing. Um, so pretty much all the classic tier one commentators of like the past, you know, the ones who were like doing every top eight, me, Scar, Toph, D1, um, and more recently, Brandon and Phil have been more active. But like Phil, I don't know how active he wants to be in the future. Um, Brandon gone some spots, but personally, I think he's declined, um, which isn't good. And I think, you know, so a lot of like the guys who are like in that tier one and doing a lot of events are either much less active, or I think almost pretty much all of us have declined in quality. I think there's been some of the guys who are hustling are notably doing better. DJ, his rise is really good. He's done a pretty good job. He's trying harder. Like I remember for Big House, I advocated for DJ and Chillin to get the time because I was just like, they're trying harder than the rest of us. They deserve it, you know.
Yep.
I was just a sad thing to say, but I don't. The main and people are sometimes asking like, "Hey, Blur, why aren't you commentating as much?" It's because kind of gotten tired of working with production staffs and other commentators who aren't trying to push the envelope and push the bar, and it gets really tiring when we're doing the same thing as we did three. Like it is frustrating for me as a caster when I see the same problems year after year, and when I see we haven't gotten better, and that like I can point to productions in 2013 that were better than stuff we're doing, right? And when I can like point to like last year and I see and like I don't want to be a part of that, and I mostly like it feels very samey, and I've kind of done it all at this point, like not to be arrogant, but like I literally have done like every event series. I've been around for so long. I've done every event. I've done like top eight for like everything. There's not a single like top player match which I haven't commented at this point. Right? Like how many more Blur commentating Mango versus Leffen do you need? Like I've done so much of it, right? Or like whatever top player match. There's so many. I've just so much. Um, because I've gone to so many events the last 2 years. Like I said, went like 60 plus, like years and years of footage. Like, um, you know, so maybe I don't have I have as much left to contribute. So, and other guys should get opportunities. And if it's the same thing over and over again, like I don't want to do that forever. I want us to improve. And especially when I feel like the co-casters in production are sandbagging effectively. I don't want to be a part of that. I think it's like a disservice for all to Melee, and it's a disservice to like all the work we've done to get here. So it just you know, when Melee's hurting, or when I feel like we're not doing right by Melee or the scene, that affects me. It probably shouldn't, but it does generally affect me. So I'm not as into it. I'm sure I'll get back into it eventually, but if I go to a lot more events next year, I probably will be casting way less, way less. I can honestly say the most fun casting I had this year was casting Hearthstone, because I got to experience like a more professional production, trying a new game out, trying out with new casters. It was such a breath of fresh air to like commentate with Frodo and Admiral, who were like trying to kick ass the whole time, right? And who weren't like distracted or asking people for water, or taking a bathroom break and ditching me on the fucking mic, or not showing up to their block, or giving away their block to
Hey,
someone
dude,
else.
you ditched your block at Big House, man.
I told you, dude. I'm literally saying I've declined, and I'm saying I am part of the problem. I don't want to be a part of the problem anymore, because my motivation has decreased because I've seen it just feels so samey.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm just messing with you, man.
like, and there's so much of that. Like, we're getting points where like people get hired for events and they give away their top 64 block, right? Like they literally say, "Hey, bro, can you take my top 64 block?" And they just like give it to another caster. And the TO's like, but am I still paying you the same amount? And or like we have top eights where like the top eight is split into two, something we never used to do, just because the caster doesn't want to do the full 3 hours. They would rather just do half of the top eight, the top four, and like so we split it up, like shit like that. It's just pure laziness. You know what I'm talking about? And like people are doing like trying to get out of hour, trying to. It's just it's like straight laziness. Like people have. It's one thing to embrace the grassroots, which I always like. I think us having personality is great. Like I mentioned, the rigid stuff, like I see like out of other esports, I hate it. I hate it. I never want us to be there. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't try and excel at our own flavor. I think the productions we put on this year, I can't like we have grown this year out of quantity and out of a lot of the girth. But I think a big reason we haven't had the same sort of peaks. And I can't honestly point to like a lot of events which are better than some of 2016's best hits. It's because I think the production, the TO staff, the commentators are all sandbagging, and they're getting complacent, and it's not good. And like I said, I don't want to be part of it. Like I just don't. And so, best thing I could do is do whatever I do behind the scene to give other people opportunities or crack the whip or do whatever. But I don't like what I'm seeing out of myself in casting right now. So I'm kind of out of it. So I'm mostly just saying no to offers if people are curious. I'm just like saying, nah, I don't want to do it. So maybe I'll get back into it, but I just want to see better from us. That's all. So that's what I feel about commentary, to answer the question.
Yep. 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 How do you feel overall?
Overall, like I'm a happy person, if that's what you're asking. Um, I, you know me, like unfortunately, a lot of my happiness is like literally linked to Melee's health and Smash's health. It's just not healthy, but that's how I am. So like when things go bad, or like it's mostly stuff that people don't know about. It's like I'm doing some behind the scenes thing, and it either falls through or something like that. That makes me feel worse, right? Like or something like that. But I'd say overall I'm happy. I think we can make 2018 cool. Hopefully Smash continues to grind on. But we'll see.
Oh, you make it sound so terrible.
No, it's not terrible. Like I said, the whole time, Smash is great. I love Smash. I'm happy. I just we do a lot better. That's all.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But I totally think it's absolutely time that other casters got the opportunities. I think it's absurd that the quality that some of our best guys, who I still think have the most potential. I think the tier 1 that we've had for years are actually the highest potential people. Like they have extraordinarily high highs, and I haven't seen the same level of high from any of the new gen yet. Like they haven't hit that, but their consistency in what they're producing right now, I think is straight up better. So, but no, I don't think their high is even like in the same stratosphere as some of the more experienced guys. It's just when they're sandbagging, they're sandbagging.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's gonna be interesting because it's like it's one of those things like where if I'm like in my 20s or like young 20s, early or high teens, like my time isn't valuable, so like I can put in as much time as I want to cast, but like being in the tail end of like my 20s, like to keep putting in hours when like I have other stuff in life that like are higher priority, it just makes it really hard to to be top notch, right? Like I feel like isn't that the same way for you?
Maybe that sounds like a terrible excuse. I don't think a year passing in my lifespan has made me,
Okay, well, okay.
like
So
that
like
doesn't change. It shouldn't be like this.
so Blur at night, you have your girlfriend that you can hang out with. You have
Yeah,
your work that you have to be doing.
sure.
You have responsibilities, whereas a person that's like in their teens, what can they do every night? They don't need to worry about that stuff.
Yeah, but you trade that for experience and intelligence and know-how and skill,
Right.
right? Like you should get better with age. That's like how it is. Like, and if you're using me as an example, like my fire is as strong now as it's ever been. It's only ever gotten stronger with time. So like it's not a lack of loving Smash or lack of wanting to do big and cool
Yeah.
things in
But like
Smash.
let's look
It's
at
not
like
that. It's like if anything, it's too much of that because I get disappointed.
let's look at like Scar for example, right? Like he's not going to know the results of every player. Like and I don't think it's like realistic for him.
By the way, I know we've used Scar as an example a couple times, but he is not the only one I'm talking about. I'm literally talking about everyone.
Right. But Scar was the subject of a lot of hate this year, which I don't think was very fair.
No, it was totally fair. Come on, are you kidding me? He
I mean,
shows up he shows up to commentary. He doesn't know what's going on in the scene at all. Of course, it's super fair.
but like he was
And
the only
I say there's super fair criticism of me. There's super fair criticism of D1. There's super fair criticism of Toad. There's super fair criticism of Vish, Webbs, Fendi, DJ. There's every.
No. But yeah, there's fair criticism, but there's a point where like for 3 months Bobby was doing a lot better of a job, and they're bringing up stuff from like many months before. Like I know there were like peaks of moments of Bobby that were like very like, wait, what are you even doing? Like, so I
Yeah.
agree with you there.
Yeah. Um. I like I said, Bobby literally has the highest peak possible. I think he's extremely far away from that peak. But you're right, he doesn't have a lot of incentive, and he has all the reason to sandbag. And when he shows up to another event for the millionth consecutive year, and he looks at the production setup, and it's the same streamer, the same basic setup, and a chair with a mic, and one of this a guy he's probably commented with a million times. It gets samey, and maybe you're not, you don't feel as pushed, right? And it's not just him. I'm literally saying everyone, right? Um, and some people say, okay, well, 2016 was a really active year. Maybe in 2017 we kind of settled down and like our fire wore off. Maybe that's it, but I don't think it's a very good excuse.
Yeah, well, it
You
isn't.
and
But I'm talking about like okay, so I'm not just talking about like deproving, right? But like in the sense of how do I phrase this? Like we could be even better, right?
we were better. We were better. Commentary in 2016 was better than commentary in 2017. That's like undeniably true. If you know anything about casting, and you know anything about the quality of casting, production in 2016 was better than production in 2017. That's like a fact, right?
Right.
Was Big House a better production this year or last year? Answer that question. Last year. It's obvious. They had replays last year. They tried analyst tests. Some people didn't like it, but hey, they tried it. They had like a top 8 intro video. I don't think they had that this year. They had content pieces. Like remember the Wizzy, Apostle finding Wizzy, all that?
Yeah.
They had all that. Oh, Genesis, better production this year or last year? Last year had 2 streams. They had, I could go on about, like, again, case by case. And those are, okay, the biggest events. Maybe the middle events have improved. No, dude, no. 2016 had better production than this year. Like, it's you go event by event, and it's a fact. There's some events that did well in some areas. Like Smash and Splash had really good camera work. Had, in my opinion, pretty bad overlays and worse graphics, and DSL could have done a much better job at emceeing. Like a lot of things there. But hey, It had good camera work. But 2016 we were in Mandalay Bay in the stadium. Come on. So that is true. Now, our viewership still went up. In a lot of ways, we were better. So maybe the market doesn't respond the way it is, but we did slow growth. And that might be because we're putting on an inferior product. We have to look at the product.
Do we like MCs?
So it took me a long time to basically get a feel on what I think a perfect Smash Bros setup is, and I was like, where do analyst desks fit in? What do we do here? What is the appropriate way to go about everything we do, right? And I think MCs have a use, but mostly it's extraordinarily minimal. It was infuriating for me to see the 2GC introduce players and waste time every single time. Right, it's just a bad run of show. You can't just be introduce ally to the stage 50 times. You can't introduce Zero to the stage 50 times. It's absurd.
Wait, I can't.
No, it's bad.
No, I'm just messing.
Maybe Max, you do a top 8 intro, you list off the players. Maybe you get people hyped about the game. If you have a top 8 intro video like Evo does, or a lot of our other events have done, and they stop doing, by the way, maybe you get people hyped up for Melee top 8 and you get them going. But other than that, you get out of the way. And I don't think it really adds any value to viewers to be here and give it up for a million times, right? I don't think that's a valuable piece of content. It's filler, and it drags out the content, and it's not quality stuff. It's not. And people overdo it a ton. And Smash MCs are very bad, which makes it even worse, right? There's literally no one who's even decent. No one's even passable right now, which is really bad, right? So we would be much better off by just not doing it, because we just look embarrassing when we try. It's usually the current state of Smash MC. So it's generally pretty bad. As far as analyst desk and stuff, I think a pre-show before top 8, or a small analyst desk segment before top 8 can be good, and maybe a halftime can be good. And for sure, I think it'd be dope if we had almost when NBA on TT Inside the NBA does their after show. I think that could be cool. Let's say we do the winners interviews, and then we have a little after show with skits and fun stuff. That could be cool. I'd love it if we did press conferences that mix in that. That could be cool. But I don't like to interrupt it too much, right? I don't think you need an analyst desk after every thing. And for the most part, I think you give it to the two commentators. You play replays after the set, and you go to the next match, man. And that's kind of it. I think that part is fine. You can't be too much about it. Now, you can still do it. Like I said, if you have a halftime segment, if between in the middle of top 8, which is just an optional thing, it might not be good. We have to try it. You could do that, but I definitely think you should do a pre-top 8 thing. That's for sure. And you can make that good. Make that 30 minutes godlike, instead of putting it in the middle of the top 8 and just mucking up the show. And maybe make that after show, that the maybe the hour long after the tournament, make that godlike, right? And that'll be better content than putting yourself in the middle of something when everyone just wants the next match. It just doesn't work with the flow of Smash. It works for Dota, it works for League, it works for them because their games are long. It doesn't work with the flow of Smash. It just doesn't. So that's where I am right now. I think the two commentators analyzing replays and analyzing the set is more than fine. It's enough. And we're fine in that regard.
Yeah. I think it's also that we're so tired at the end. I would like to do around the horn kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I think it would be super good for Smash if we did a super organized version of that. It would be great. And people are saying, oh, people are going to dip before an analyst desk if it's after Grands. Do people dip after Inside the NBA? No, the reason is because that show's godlike, right? That show's better than the game half the time. And if you do a really good job and you mix the right personalities and you make it quality content, no, people are going to stay because they want to talk about it. You know the energy you feel when an amazing tournament happens. like Evo ends, Genesis ends, you want to talk about it. You want to hear people talk about it. You want to hear about the implications. You want to see what the people are saying in the press conferences. You're all buzzed up. You're all jazzed up. No, people love that stuff. It's just we haven't done it well. Right?
Yeah.
And as far people are talking about award ceremonies, don't do top 8 award ceremonies. Only do the winner. That's it. Do not put second place on stage. Stop it. Stop it. Stop doing losers interviews. Stop it. Maybe given some time after a loss, like let's say minimum 20 minutes, you do like a press conference style sort of thing. But you definitely don't put them on stage in front of a ton of people. You definitely don't give out little shitty medals to 2nd to 8th place. You give it to 1st and you make that the story. You let it go. You let it go. That's it. Stop putting depressed people on stage. It's bad. I don't know.
Alrighty. How exciting would a 2GG Melee event be?
I mean, pretty cool, I guess. I mean, it's kind of, it depends. Is it 2G plus Esports Arena or is it just 2GG? Because, like, I hope people know this, but Esports Arena does, like, all the work for the Smash 4 stuff right now that 2G does. Like, they fund it all, they pay for it all, they do the sales, they do the production, they, like, source the casters, they fly people out, like, they do everything. People know that, right?
No, they don't.
They don't know that? Okay,
No.
well, maybe people don't know that.
The general
2G
consensus
does-
is they assume that Champ is magical and like funding everything.
Yeah,
Even though like Champ tries to like make it clear that's not the case. I think that's like the underlying impression that most people have.
I mean, they do tweets and stuff, and I mean they're definitely like into like the compendiums and merch and like they do some of the organizing, but I'm not gonna say they're not amazing. I love them. They're really they're doing great work. I love Champ. Champ is a good friend of mine, great guy, but it's undeniable that like if he went outside the bubble that's like basically like subsidizing their event series in Esports Arena, it's a different product, right? And people have to understand that. Like, if Esports Arena works with 2G and does Melee stuff, then then you're talking a different story, and that could be cool, I guess. I mean, hard to say if that stuff has actually been good for Smash 4 on the year. Probably hasn't been. Maybe it has. There has been a lot of good events that like I think added hype to the scene, but there's negatives also. But regardless, it could be a thing. I don't know if we're ready to have like 14 Esports Arena events on our calendar, making things really hard to run and super Socal centric and saturated. Like I don't know if that's good for us, but it could be a thing.
This might be a blur question. This is actually, when will Melee get a list of events that are must-go-to events instead of just announcing tournaments and expecting people to show up? Feels like having a set of tournaments that are go-to events would help the community overall.
Can you say that again? I didn't hear you. Sorry.
So like, why isn't there like a list of must-go-to events for the community to go to for Melee?
I mean, people know about Genesis Big House Evo. I want to say a lot of the biggest names, Shine, whatever, SmashCon. I think that list is relatively known. Maybe I'm wrong here, but like that second tier changes every year. TO's quit. Like we always talk about, TO's quit. We do random pop-up events. Frankly, the brand value of the second, third tier events is not very high, so they're very replaceable. Sometimes do last minute stuff, sometimes not. So it's that stuff is kind of like very flexible and done. But the household grassroots brands plus the summits plus dream hacks. Like I think people know that stuff. It's not very complicated.
What do you guys think of the commentary at 2GGC? It was really professional in esports. What about commentators like DM Brandon from Melee?
I don't think DM wants to do Melee, as far as like what I thought of the casting, given some of my opinions, I feel like I'm being. I don't want to hate on them. I think they're trying to do new cool things. Like I totally think a lot of what they did had value, and I like that they're pushing the bar. I just think there's a lot of creative direction which I disagree with. That's all. And no, I didn't think the casting was that good. No, I thought it was quite bad. But that's my opinion. A lot of people liked it, and those people play Smash 4 and those people watch Smash 4, and their opinion is far more valuable than mine. So, like, take that for what you will. That's just my opinion as someone who's been casting for a long time.
How good is Triff? Where do you think his skill is roughly, and where do you think he'll be ranked?
Griff, I think is hella good. You answer this question. Why am I answering every question?
I think it's like I like haven't really looked beyond like 20. So like I think Triff, like if he attended more events and proved himself, like I think he has potential for top 20 next year. But I think like anywhere from like 20 to 35 seems like roughly the range. Probably like 25 to 30, 25 to 32, somewhere along those lines. Muta King has been last game with Armada with most of these sets this year. What do you think he has to do to have a chance of beating the other gods and gods in general?
You go, Tafo. Go.
I think in a best of 5 set, like you also have to keep in mind like counter picks are super strong. So like to get over the hump means you have to win another neutral stage consistently, and the chances are it's their counter pick, which is pretty difficult to do. I think the big thing is as sets go longer, it tends to not favor Muta King against better players because he likes to gamble a lot, and usually when you play that style, it kind of comes to get you eventually. And so those are just like kind of my hypothesis on it. Who'd win in a game of doubles, Blur? Ralph and Wavebringer or Prime Blur squared?
Prime Blur squared, by definition.
Damn.
People are saying I need to talk into the side of this mic, but like this thing droops and I don't know how to stop it, so I'm a noob. I don't know how mic stands work, so that's why I'm talking to the top of it instead of on the side. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Do you think players should be attempting different matchups versus HBox instead of Fox? Yes.
Yes.
Is the week before Genesis 5 going to be lit?
Yes,
yeah.
but how do you know that?
I guess.
This guy's asking a very pointed question.
What is he trying to ask?
You don't know, but I think this guy might know something. Anyway, keep going.
What do we think about this Kansas State University bracket where Coble or Bait won?
I don't know about it. I haven't seen the results at all. I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
All right, let me post it in the chat.
Do you know it?
I posted it in the chat.
ASU Smash presents Redacted. He beat Cobalt. That's an upset, I guess.
Yeah, Fizzle Boyd's been having pretty good results lately.
Sick. Nice. I think good stuff with Bait. And that's pretty much all I have to say about that.
I like a Bait. Alrighty. Let me see what else. Has there been a Melee tournament with all the top 100 present? No. I think the closest is like 70 something. We may have had like 80 for like an event.
Yeah, that's extremely difficult, especially with the Euros International. But we got real close.
All right. Do you think that centralization of the scene is sustainable? Given people seem disappointed in it recently. What does that even mean?
Well, there is no centralization, so what does that mean? I don't think there is, unless you mean to say centralization as in like work I do. or work on others do to like make events work together,
Yeah.
like try to do. But I don't think that's what you mean. So I don't really clarify the question with another question, please.
I don't get it. Players to watch into Genesis. I don't think there's anyone like that particular. I mean, random NorCal locals will probably be like the big thing because it's a NorCal tournament. But I don't know if there's anything like unique.
Um, I didn't hear the question.
Like, who do we look into for Genesis? Like, who are we like excited for?
Uh, Obviously Ralph and Wavebringer.
Of course.
There's no better choice. So Mooncake Gaming answers what his question means. He says, "I met the calendar by centralization. Tap up for the calendar and the question." Yeah, so I'll answer that question because this is my calendar. It's a project that's been running for a few years. It's the managing it has gotten more and more difficult, I'd say, over time. And this year I experimented with adding a few people on, as Tafo knows. It's an experiment that went terribly, unfortunately. So I like kind of went a closed shell and said, you know what, no one gets to see it but me, and I guess there's a couple more that get to see it, but they don't really do anything. It's pretty much a blurred eyes only thing. But that's not an acceptable answer for me too, because like if I hate being the bottleneck, and so it sucks. Recently I talked to the homie Aiden and Paper Fairy. I don't know if you guys know him, but we had like a call about like who can we do to make it better. So I'm thinking about adding Aiden and only Aiden onto the team just to have a little less of a bottleneck to help with it, so that like we can get everything coordinated a little bit better. I'm thinking about making a Google form for applying to it, so people can understand a little bit better. A few other like systematic things I think will slightly make it better.
Yeah, my Cloud9 boss has always asked me what events are coming up.
Yeah, well, sucks for him. He needs to talk to me. Yeah, overall the system roughly works. There was a few unfortunate double bookings this year. Obviously, Smash Splash, Battle BC, Clash City Clash, and Panda Global's thing are probably the two biggest ones. And then there's a few smaller ones if you deem to count them. So never going to be perfect. We're always going to have some sort of stuff, and it's a massive coordination effort. Trust me, guys, you have no idea how much work it is. But a few slip through the cracks, and hopefully we can make it better.
Well, as long as like half my wedding is not at a tournament, I'm happy.
Dude, it's tough. People want to host tournaments, and unfortunately, they don't want to host them in the months that I want to host them sometimes. So, anyway, that's the answer to that question.
What do you think of Melee being a lot smaller in Florida outside of Orlando? There was THTH, Too Hot to Handle, which kind of helped local attendance a bit.
Well, in Orlando, it's popping, right? It's South Florida that's like
Sucky.
smaller. Yeah, but it's amazing in Smash 4. So it's like varied. So, it's one of those regions. Some regions have bigger Smash 4. Some people have bigger Melee. Usually, and if you're a TO in the region, you're not gonna like this response, but usually it's related to TOs more than anything else. Like if you're hosting good events for the game and you're doing a good job, you're probably gonna have people that go to it. And so I would look at introspectively and like do really good analysis of like what are we missing as a region on the event scale that's not attracting people. And what is Smash 4 doing that's maybe doing a better job? Or what is like a lot of different things, and ask about it and get to it. Maybe that region just doesn't have a godlike TO yet, and they need one.
They need Prime Blur. What are the pros and cons of having a centralized big name event like 2GG has done with Smash 4? I feel like we've answered this a lot.
Kind of, yeah, let's keep going.
All right. What would you say about scholarship funds being formed to help upstart TOs absorb a bit of the risk involved in running an event?
Scholarship funds being absorbed. What?
So like a buffer, I guess. Like if you're a new TO and like you don't want to assume the full risk of running an event, is how I'm interpreting
What
it.
is this? Why scholarship? That relates to like academics.
I don't know.
So
Charity
they're
fund.
saying, what if we like he's saying, what if we did a grassroots funding project that helped teams out? Is the question, right?
Yeah.
We could do that. That's totally a doable thing. I've, maybe incorrectly, Half, I'd love to know your thought on this. I've always shied away from like asking for money, and like for example, people always ask me, "Where's Kings of Cali?" And the answer is truly, every time I look for a venue and every time I look for to make it happen, I've done a lot of work for it actually. It turns out the event loses a lot of money, like in the order of usually like 10, 15, 20 grand. And so I can't, in all honestly, go forward with the event the way I wanted to. So, you know, I just rather don't, I just don't do it. Right. And we did a whole bunch of stuff. Like I actually already made a trailer. We made a mini doc thing. We made the trophy. Did a ton of stuff, ton of work for KOC actually. Um, but we couldn't find a way to make it profitable. And I never wanted to go out there and ask for money. So I never did. And so that's why the event hasn't happened yet. I think a lot of other events are in a similar spot where they need a little boost in order to get it to happen. But events don't like it's not really common for them to get kickstarted like that. So would it be cool if like let's say we did like a really cool grassroots program where we raise a ton of money, let's say like 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 or more, and we can like then use that to funnel it back in the community. That'd be great. I'm just a little worried about that. Like I know for me, like if I went up there as a community leader and did that, I'd want to be super transparent about it. I want to be super honest and clear about it. And I'd be worried about accusations of impropriety. I'd be worried about, like doing wrong by the community, doing wrong by people who donated. There's a lot of pressure on people who like get kickstarted and get that kind of funding. And I also be worried about if it's not sustainable. So there's a lot of like different things, I'd be thinking about when doing something like that. And it hasn't been my style so far, personally. Now someone else could do it. Like I think a ton of people could like really raise a ton of money, and make shit happen for Smash. Maybe that is a way to go, but it hasn't been the route we've taken so far.
I think we come from the old school of thought where we didn't want to take money for anything because like we grew up in a foundation of Smash where like everybody where we're grassroots and we bootstrap everything and we built this culture of volunteerism that it feels awkward to take money from a community that has done a lot for free. But then I kind of look at it this way, like if we want to accomplish something and like money is the only reason why we can't do it and people are willing to donate, then what's the issue?
Yeah, I mean, look, we get in our own way sometimes, and the fact that we're so hesitant is probably a good sign. It just means that we have integrity, and we want to do the right thing. I don't know. I'm just extremely hesitant about it. I don't know about you. Taffa, if you want to start a fund, make it happen, but and I'll support you.
Yeah.
It's been a thing which I've had extreme hesitance about.
Like even starting a TAFO stats was a little bit awkward or charging for it, but like that money has actually helped me like stay motivated to code new things, and like I've done a lot more with the money that was given to me.
Yeah, now you have other people like filling in results from other regions and stuff too. You're probably paying them, I assume, or something. Maybe they're doing it for free.
Some of them are doing it for free. I think most are actually.
Yeah. But the point is that like it helps you to reinvest back, make it more serious.
And then like actually put in programming time towards making upgrades.
Yeah, for sure. So, it's one of those things. Or maybe we could go down that path. I don't know what the reception would be if we did go down that path. So, I'm just crazy hesitant.
Well, I guess like there's the other question, right? We have a bunch of new events coming in and they're getting outside investment like GTX and stuff, and maybe if we did go that route of raising money, we'd have investors that come in that actually partner with events like Big House rather than making completely separate events altogether?
Maybe. Maybe. I think that you'd have to think that there is, like, in general, getting investment for an events company is, even with the buzzword of esports, isn't really something that is common or done.
Right.
Right? Events companies are just not a high profit business. I mean, most events in the world, except for music events, like music festivals and stuff, are loss leading events, right? They're like some brand puts on an event, somebody puts on an event, they lose money. But so we're not really that different in that regard, you know. But so I don't know how appealing it is to an investor to say, invest in us, we're an events company, right? Like, it's not. And by the way, we don't own the IP for which we are monetizing at our events. So like that, you get that going on. So I don't know how appealing that is. Maybe if it was pitched like as a sports league, maybe there's something there, because that's usually more appealing to them than like straight up events only. Because you start talking broadcast rights then. But how are you gonna have a sports league when you don't own the license behind your sport? So we get back to the same root problems again.
Yeah. Gosh dang it.
Gosh dang it.
Feels bad,
Gosh
man.
dang it. Gosh dang it.
Feels bad, man.
Yeah.
Do you see the PGR enforced offseason working to relieve burnout of players? Would removing ranking data for 2 months be feasible for our community?
I don't think Smash 4 is in a stable enough state to take 2 months off. They're they're not like
They're hurting, man.
they're not exactly in a good spot. So if they want to take 2 months off, have at it, Hoss. But they're going to come back way smaller. So I don't recommend it. It's just like uh, right now, like we might be looking at some other communities. You know, was it a good thing for Overwatch that it took us like a whole 2 years off, effectively? You know, no, obviously, it was terrible for that game and terrible for that esport. Similarly, like you can see that for many other games, but you know, I think an off season is important in Smash. I think one day I'd like to see it be more consistent, but I don't think it'll ever be more than like 6 weeks, 7 weeks.
If you have too
Max
much of an
8
off
weeks.
season, you don't have a job to go back to.
Yeah, you don't have a job to go back to. That's the thing. There's a job here. So I think it'd be like, you know, ideally like a 6, 7, 8 week sort of thing, and no longer. Too much is. We're not a state to do that much. We're really not.
Yep. That's
All right. That's it. Any more questions?
How do we get Smash GG to add Central California or Central Florida or South Florida as region options, like how Socal and Norcal are options? I don't know. Talk to Smash GG.
Oh, Smash GG, dude. We don't work there.
Yeah.
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 All right. I think that's pretty much it.
Yup. 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 Okay, that was a pretty good show. We did
Yep.
all right.
Sounds good. It's good having you on.